If you're doing Red Mage and someone's like, hey, I heard Red Mage is really good for Necromancer, your friend does not know what they're talking about, because none of us, in terms of the veterans, would ever really recommend Red Mage anymore. Basically, how this guide will go is that you'll get a lot more information, I think, before the floors. And then unless, you guys ask questions during the floors, then it might just kind of feel like a regular stream podcast. However, you listen to the thing during the floors. I don't like going through the editing process in between the floors. I always like to keep that as true as possible. So, like, if you're looking at this video and, like, want to get the gist of everything, the beginning of each set will be pretty good. I have a couple things I want to demonstrate, especially video right now is in 7.5. So we're going to kind of do some things in relation to 7.5 and some of the brand new things that they've added in 7.5, and also kind of an update to what my previous tutorials have done. So it'd be that. So if you want to kind of super in-depth, you definitely can try to look at the other ones. We have Machinist and a Pictomancer, but this one for sure will be more Red Mage oriented, which in my opinion, Red Mage, as much as it's good to get the information about enemies and such like that, Red Mage to me is more about execution of the job, more so than the actual deep dungeon in itself. And I think there's a really interesting combination too when it comes to Red Mage. And also, what's going to be interesting about Red Mage in particular is if you're doing Red Mage, got a nice little glamour here. If you're doing Red Mage and someone's like, hey, I heard Red Mage is really good for Necromancer, your friend does not know what they're talking about, because none of us, in terms of the veterans, would ever really recommend Red Mage anymore. It's not to say Red Mage is bad. Actually, on the contrary, Red Mage has always been fine. It's just, in the beginning, when I got Necromancer on Red Mage, that was like the only job we kind of believed would be the one that could pull it off. It's just over time, since 2018, 2017, whenever Stormblood came out, jobs have definitely gotten updated, changed around, that it catered more to be a better experience in this game mode. You're perfectly fine to go Red Mage, like there's nothing wrong with going Red Mage, but you will probably look at needing and kind of an elevated skill expression to be able to get through in Red Mage, unlike maybe some of the other jobs that are out there, more the ones that are commonly, at least within our community, commonly recommended for people. Just keep that in mind. And I like Red Mage a lot, and it's very flashy, it's very fun, but there are definitely some specific Red Mage things that could benefit you to know, which is what I'll be working on as like a more complementary, supplementary guide to kind of talk about the skill set of what you'd want to have on Red Mage during this run, as opposed to more about, what's in the run in itself, which, again, the first 1 to 100 are like, now you really don't have to really care so much about the 1 to 100 because of their 7.5 update that you don't actually record a KO. And we'll actually put that on display too. Nana asks, my only question, how do I enjoy the 1 to 100 run? I don't know, watch this stream and go through with me, race me. Honestly, race me. See if you can go faster than me. That'll be a good way to do it, because I go pretty fast. First time watching live. Anyway, I'm still trying to get into Deep Dungeon, but I never know where or how to start. Well, if you're talking like literally the very beginning, then the very, very first thing you got to do is to go to New Gudanna and unlock the actual quest of Palace of the Dead, which starts at level 17. And this is how you start it off to begin with any Deep Dungeon, because Palace has to be the first one that you go to. And that quest is usually somewhere around into this building over here. Of course, I'm not going to have the quest flagged. Rather, it's like right in this position. One of these guys, this guy? One of these guys are going to give you the quest, and then you just follow the quest, and that's how you unlock Palace of the Dead. And then, from there, we get you to start the beginning from where we are here. You don't need to record a KO on all, even for the title. KOs don't record 1 to 100, or another way to put it, they don't record for the story floors, which is 1 to 30 for all the other deep dungeons, 1 to 100 for Palace of the Dead. That is a brand new update from 7.5, and we'll actually showcase that in about 30 minutes, I would say about 30 minutes or so. As a starter here, also, we'll kind of keep this true. This is kind of similar to how I did it for Picto and Machinist Guide. I will intentionally nuke my arm and armor here, and actually this is going to be even more extreme, but trust me, it's actually not as bad as you think. So right now, we have capped arm and armor. I've been doing this for a long time. Of course I have capped arm and armor, but we're going to nuke our arm and armor to 9, which is as far down as I can go by taking these Aetherpool grips, which, by the way, the Aetherpool grips are how you get the glamour weapons. If you like the weapons inside Palace of the Dead, then you're getting these Aetherpool grips to exchange them for the weapons, and you need 3 for the white color one, and you need 6 more for the red color one, so that's 9 total. Hey, maybe you only like the white one, I got story point, but like classes, I read a lot of Google Docs about traps and bosses, etc. Classes, in the popular classes that we have for that the community kind of goes for, Machinist is popular, Warrior is popular, Pictomancer is popular. In my opinion, Reaper is great for melee. You can toss around Sage and White Mage for a healer. class. What did I leave out? Caster, Summoner is definitely a popular one. Well, I said Pictomancer, so I guess that floats over there. So you have a lot of popular ones that are there for each role. I always like to kind of recommend that if someone's really starting it off for the very first time, to do it on your main class, because I think Deep Dungeon in itself requires a lot of different skills to play the game, and especially if you're gonna hop into Palace of the Dead. You're talking about a 60 kit, and if you're playing the game at endgame, you're using a 100 kit, and a 60 kit might be a freaking whiplash in terms of how to play the game. So it's like you not only are learning a 60 kit, but you're also learning Deep Dungeon, and I think it's a lot better when you're playing a job you already are familiar with, and then worry about the Deep Dungeon mechanics, which there's a lot of Deep Dungeon mechanics to get through. You got power-ups, traps, bosses, floor navigation, enemy kill count, so on and so forth, right? So you'll see that along the course of today's stream. We'll cover literally everything, at least in its basic form. Ninja, oh, I like Ninja. Machinist is very popular. I do have a guide for Machinist, so that is there if you ever want to do. And that's pretty basic too. I do Machinist pretty much from like starting point, so definitely check that out. We nuked our armor, so we had 99, now we have 9. The last thing I'll do is we are going to nuke my sustaining potions to bring them to 0. This is just to indicate what it looks like when you're starting with nothing. I'm also going to get rid of my potsherds, Gilmorian potsherds, which gives me the potions. But here, unlike before, this is really a very low concern situation because you get so many on the run nowadays. You get them from enemy drops, which is a recent update this expansion. So here, we're starting low. You'll see the Aether Pool as we climb up. We'll start from the very first floor. Let's hop in there. If someone does Astra as their first job, they better post it somewhere we can see it. Why? Because you don't believe them? We're gonna go through this pretty quickly. If you have any questions as we go through, please ask them. Oh, I only have a melee combo, right? Kind of forgot like what buttons I have here. So silver chests are going to be important, especially if you're starting off. As you can see, the very first chest we open is a +5. That's welcome to Deep Dungeon. That's just what's going to happen. That's why it's going to be pretty easy to level that armor from fresh. You don't have to worry about it. It's not my clear, but don't make me go back to Astro. But Astro's fun. Astro's demanding. How important is leveling in early stages? So, really good question. I used to be really kind of stressing that it's really important to get a lot of kills in the earlier floors. And the reason for that is because it's twofold. One, if you over-level the enemies as you go up, you'll have a little bit of an easier time handling the bosses and everything. Not to mention, if you start with a little bit of a lower Aether Pool, you kind of want to balance that strength out. And two, if you had lower sustaining potions, then this kind of helps you mitigate how much healing you need to do for if you're like a little bit of a lower level, or like if you're higher level, you need less healing. Literally all of that gets thrown out the window because none of that is a concern anymore. You get sustaining potions as you go through because enemies will drop them. I already have 2, and sustaining potion is all you need to get through the bosses, really. You just like chug them as you're fighting the bosses and you should be fine. Aether Pool comes in very quickly. And not to mention, with the new update for 7.5, you're not worried about dying. So you can probably just go through YOLO. Takes you like 15, 20, 25 minutes to get to the boss. If you die, shrug your shoulders, go back in, and just try it again. At least you don't have to start back at 1. So I think that'll be a pretty decent learning experience. That's why, like, here, you know, I kind of call this a tutorial light, because I don't really think there's much I really should go over in big explanations outside of obviously the questions that you're having, which are very good questions. And like maybe like, you know, some highlighted enemies here and there, but I would imagine most people who now no longer have to worry about KOing on a file and just get your butt to 100, just play the game. I'm sure, you know, you get through, you know, watch out for a couple things. The bees are going to be here that you want to watch out for, but kill them before they kill you. That's pretty much the gist of it. Longfall is one of my favorite jams. Turn it up. I like Longfall too, yeah. Longfall is great. So one thing with Red Mage that you'll take advantage of is the range, the casting. You definitely want to always fight in hallways. That's going to be one of the biggest habits you're going to form, but it's so much better on Red Mage and a caster than it is on some, maybe, like, say, a tank, you know? You may want to just run in there, but that's where you start running into traps. The kill count is funny. If I ever wanted to do a speedrun here, it's not going to happen. By the way, I do hope everyone here and abroad are having a good day today. It's good to see you guys. We're here to play some games. So when I saw FanFest and they announced you have full combo and evolve mode at 50, that sounded to me like it would make way easier too, right? In theory. I hesitate to say that's the thing, because I would rather have it in my hands and to do it and to hop into Palace of the Dead to tell you if that's true. The thing that you'd be looking for is like potency, right? So you might get higher potency, which means things fall over. But there's two key components that were part of that FanFest that are going to be interesting. And actually, that conversation is going to be fascinating, because whenever 8.0 does show up, I kind of don't feel like this will change much in terms of Deep Dungeon, and I probably will relabel these as like Reborn Guide, and then you'll have a Evolve Guide that will be really kind of different. I'm expecting Evolve to conduct itself very differently than a Reborn build. But one thing we didn't see on the current Evolve build was a lot of CC, and auto attacks did not seem to be there, which is kind of on par with PvP. And those two not being there can cause an interesting issue. However, if everything kind of falls over, then it's kind of a non-issue, but you never know. And that's why I think it's really important that, you know, we kind of get our hands on it first before we kind of make any judgment calls or kind of predict anything. I think there's just not enough information to predict anything at all with Evolved in this current stage of time. It'd be really funny if I say that, and then, like, you know, this video comes out, and then, like, see if someone looks at this when the Evolve comes out, and it'd be like, well, actually... Like, well, I didn't know at the time, right? Catch without autos on Black Mage. Did you take Skate out of your hotbar? Yo, thanks to the follow. Aeon, appreciate that. What's up, Miss Velvet? Hello? This is actually gonna be a nice little callback, to the old guides of the past that I used to do, because the newer guides, I actually really made it attentive to like make sure that we kind of kept it on topic, to just yap about Deep Dungeon, the run, you know, blah blah blah. Right now, I'm okay with talking to you guys. There's no restriction. You guys ask silly questions or whatever. That's perfectly fine, because I honestly think, like, you're not gonna really catch too much info here. I mean, if anything, you want to watch the gameplay. But there is not too much that you're going to be overly concerned with. I mean, you know, walk along the walls to avoid traps. There you go. That's a good one. But considering the no KO count exists now in 1-100, I mean, if you die, again, you just shrug it off and go back in, take your lesson and move on. I mean, we started with low Aether Pull, we started with no sustaining potions, and you're going to see that we're just going to not really have a problem. Someone doing this super fetch, like they just unlocked it, can totally just hop in right away and be completely fine. I'm doing pretty well. I had a really nice day today. Thank you for asking, Miss Velvet. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything's going okay for you. And time my strength correctly. There will be one thing that I will do, at least on the docket, which is in floor 11, so stay tuned for that. Just finished 160 without steel. Yo, let's go. On Red Mage? That's a journey and a half. There's a thing I want to ask. The items, when you use them, really, I'm a hoarder myself. I do dual runs at the moment with my girlfriend. But I am scared to use the items. I think in solo it could be even worse. So, the self-restriction on using Pomanders is totally a vibe. I completely understand that. It's a very common thing when it comes to doing Deep Dungeon, that you don't want to use things, overuse them, because you may not have them later. But kind of the advanced thinking on Deep Dungeon with those Pomanders and such, you need to look at the Pomanders and the power-ups as something that will give you an advantage. And the best application for them, especially on the higher floors, is to see when the Pomander would give you the greatest application and the greatest benefit when you use them. So and also it kind of comes down to understanding what and perceiving what Pomanders are a little bit more common and what Pomanders are a little bit more rare. So for example, a Rage is pretty known to be rare in terms of when they show up. Like, you could get a bunch, but you're not going to see a lot of them in comparison to an intuition or a strength, which are a lot more common. So, strategically, something like a strength is something that you may want to use a little bit more often. Like a common terminology that the community will use is Palm Z2, Palm Z2, because it prevents an overcap. So like you only cap at 3, right? So if you cap at 3, then the new one that comes in, you have to use one, otherwise you just have to leave it in the chest. But there is definitely a high strategy where you kind of keep certain palms at 2, and you get the most benefit out of them. And then when you pick up the third one, it doesn't really become wasted, if you will. And something like Red Mage definitely benefits off of using the strength. Like, I just use the strength here to kind of help me get to these floor a little bit faster and to kill a little bit faster, you know? And that's something that can be very useful in terms of speeding yourself up. I mean, strength is an 8-minute power buff, so you're going 8 minutes, having something 30% stronger for 8 minutes, and that can benefit you in the long run in terms of saving time. But there are also other strategies in terms of when to use them, how to use them, right? Rages can be good for, you know, a no-crap situation when, like, something happens and, like, you know, you gotta handle it, or it's good to kind of replenish palms for doing it with the fortune, or it's good as a time saver. So there's a lot of different applications, and it's about understanding when is the best time to use them to get the biggest benefit out of them. Red Mage 160. I'm proud of you, Miss Velvet. You better have had that on video. Do deaths not count for titles before 100 with the patch? They do not count for They do not count for the title with the new patch. That is correct, and we'll actually put that on display in a little bit. I have something I want to showcase and get on video, which requires me to die intentionally. But we'll do that on the next floor. So it's really important to know that, because that's brand new information. And of course, like, you know, maybe the explanation on the patch note was not very clear. Maybe it's too good to be true, but it is true. And they kind of also aligned it with, like, the colors on the file in itself. So you'll see, like, if it's red, it is a no-go. If it's not red, then you're kind of okay. And I think you'll see that even when we die, that it'll be kind of still okay. No! I'm sorry. Wait, how did you miss the stream? Weren't you here yesterday? The only time I stream. Strength can also help Red Mage to get through a no-item floor, because it makes your Vercue stronger. So if you're at 2, so Red Mages are nice to strengthen key to going into the next floor. What's up, Edda? Yep. What Velvet said, yep. Lost to Behemoth due to forgetting second win on the push. Well, I got an upcoming Red Mage 12. That'll take a while. Dang. It happens, Godmother gently. You know, it's a thing. Would pink change your mini-map? I think so. I don't see why it wouldn't. That sucks, I'm sorry. Palms are perfect. You know what? That happens to me too. Godmother gently. It happens to me too. Like, I feel like I've lost many runs, but that I thought were, like, top tier, you know? Actually. I'm gonna pop a potion here. We'll do a lust here. Do I have a favorite deep dungeon? Cat and Heart? Cat and Heat, sorry. I'm very biased to Palace of the Dead. There's a very big reason why I'm biased to Palace of the Dead, which I'll explain in a second once I kill this boss. But that answer to me is 100% Palace of the Dead. Doing 14 7.0, sorry, almost done. I gotta somehow fit in the 14 MSQ, and I gotta fit in the Wuwa MSQ. I'm stuck with Diablo, so what am I supposed to do? And we got a... I think it's a +10, right? When you kill the bosses up in these floors. Look at my Aether Pool. We started at 9, and we're all the way to 44, 39 before I even got off this floor, so you really don't have to worry about it. So Cat and Heat, we did AGDQ in 2000... I can't spell that. AGDQ. We did AGDQ in 2023 for Final Fantasy XIV on the big stage for Games Done Quick. And so, for me, that was one of my greatest moments. And there's gonna be a really hard time for literally anything gaming-wise to eclipse that at the moment. So that's why it's just... I can almost never say anything other than Palace of the Dead, right? I think the only thing that would eclipse that would be, like, if a deep dungeon comes out and, like, it really boosts the channel, like, tremendously, like, probably that one, but Is there any reason why you use Lust now? Is it faster than normal killing? It is faster than normal killing. This is one of those things where, like, there are certain bosses that they're kind of better if they're just dead faster. And you aren't really worried about Lust from, like, the first 100 floors, so you can just toss it out willy-nilly if you want to. You don't have to. Sometimes you don't pick one up, but I like using them sometimes in the boss, depending on what the boss is, just for a faster kill, that's all. Not used to Red Mage due to trying to not overheal on cures while kiting. That's one of the things I covered with, that I will cover with some of the skill stuff about watching the overheal. Okay, so entering 11, there's a couple interesting things that I want to showcase to you guys, because now I can, because of the new KO situation. So we'll showcase to you, but really, again, we're just kind of going through these floors, kind of vibing. Nothing overly concerning to worry about. If you die again, it's whatever, just go right back in. But we'll showcase to you, this is going to be the introduction to the K floors, which are a little bit nasty on traps. That's like one of the bigger things. So if you're hugging the wall, you actually probably hit a trap regardless, so you gotta watch out for that. If you're Black Mage and your nice phase fire spell comes from Lust faster, yes it does. Yes it does. Actually, I should steal here. Can I steal? Thank you. Beep, boop, beep. Yeah, Red Mage is takes a little bit to kind of understand kind of really how to optimize it correctly, especially with those heals, because you don't want to overheal. But it's kind of like a feel thing. Like, I kind of know how much I heal for, and I make adjustments to that. But that's what, honestly, for me, makes it a lot of fun, is because of making those management calls with the healing. Astral can Lightspeed into Lust, get into cast. Casters are just fun, man. And actually, all of those things that you mentioned, Velvet, is what's going to be interesting for Evolved. Because I don't know if any of that's going to be involved. Did I miss something? I thought you failed. I did? Oh, we did. Oh, well, we did. But that run technically doesn't count, because I was going to throw away that run anyway. That was for video recording. So here, this is going to be the real tutorial run that I wanted to do for the week. Might take me all 3 days. We might do this in the next coming days, but I want to get it complete. Didn't Machinist's quickfire thing also make GCD cast? I think so. I don't remember. It is, it's a significant amount. I'm pretty sure I'm going to die with the slime cast. Slimes scare you? Cobras scare you? For sure. Cobras are a good reason to be scared about the content, sure. Pretty sure the slime would wipe me. Okay. Orgonite. The slime should show up here, and that is what I wanted to put on display first, and we'll actually display something else as well. Rastius. To be honest, the thing I'm looking forward to trying the most with Evo jobs is having a full kit, PoTD and other Stairs of Reaper. Yeah, well, bear in mind that kit is not going to be what you're used to in Reborn, right? I mean, it is the interpretation of what Evolved is going to be, but still, fair point. Okay, here we go. Slime. So this slime you want to kill, this is, I believe, a 25-second timer. So if you keep this thing alive for about 25 seconds to 30 seconds, it explodes and you die. Period. Period. I want to see if it actually full kills me. Where's my high potions? Okay. Hey Radiant, how you doing? There you go, Rupture. So that's a DPS check, right? And the one reason I want to put that on Showcase is literally because of the new update with 7.5. I can show that to you because now I'm not concerned about the file wiping, because with the patch, it doesn't record a KO before 100. So this file, look, there's no KO. There literally is no KO. There used to be a KO on the file. This is just as normal. If the file was dead, it would be red colored. That's what that is. If the file is clear, it's green colored. So I can show that, and I can hop back in, and we're back in 11 without even skipping a beat. So that's the new update there. So keep that in mind. No KO count. Now, it will be there when you wipe past 100, but you can die 1,000 times here. You can die 1,000 times here in the lower floors, and before 100, you're not really concerned about anything. Radiant, how you doing? Sorry about your Your Perishing Death on the high 80s, but that was a pretty good PB, I think, for you, right? You fear their slimes? Yes. They must die. Tactical leveling. New PB, hell yeah, brother. Because they only do 99 in max so you live. I like how you know this. It's 170 of your max HP as true damage. It's probably the mob that does the most damage in the whole palace. I like how you know this exactly. She destroyed Behemoth? Yeah, I saw that last meteor job. I kind of had you in the side monitor while I was taking a nap. When I got home. Good job. Behemoth is very interesting the first time around. Very interesting. The difficulty isn't affected for the solo run since it's mostly late floors. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think this really muddles the challenge, at all. Because I mean, you can still just die in 101, and then you have to literally go back to 1 to do the thing. So the climb to the full 100 is still going to be there. So... But, I mean, you know, not everyone might agree with that. That's perfectly fine, but... To me, the challenge is on those higher floors. So if you were in the party that thought lower floors were a challenge or part of the challenge, then I'm not going to dispute you. I mean, you know, the full package is the full package, so sure. But it's one of those things where even right now, I think people still aren't quite sure about what that KO difference means, and we're literally gonna put it on display for you. That it means that you can hop in with dying anywhere in these 1 to 100 and just go right back in without having to nuke the file. Because before you had to basically nuke the file. You die in like 99, you had to go back to 1 because your title run is gone. That's not the case here. No items. As far as the actual challenge, I don't think the change hurts anything. The weird question is scoring runs. Yeah, and that's also fair too. Again, I think all the commentary for it is very valid. I think there is concerning, but also kind of my look at it is just basically like it concerns all of like 10 to 20 people, and those 10 to 20 people are very important. But for me, it's not really an importance of mine, if that makes sense. One of the change will make me too nonchalant in the first 100 floors and make me die more. I actually think that's a thing. I thought of that build chamber, and good to see you. I really thought that was going to be a thing now, because you do become a little bit more relaxed, and then you don't know when to turn it on. Because essentially, in how it was before, is that you kind of have this escalating pressure. Now you're 101 floors deep, and you need to kind of buckle up because you don't want to die at any point because you're going to reset to there. But now it's kind of like you just, you know, put on Netflix, watch an anime, watch my stream, whatever it might be as you're climbing up. And, you know, at some point you'll get to 100. You know, unless you're doing the speed run, you'll get there really fast. But at some point you'll get there, and, you know, then you start like, okay, time to really take it seriously. But maybe you didn't warm up. Maybe you weren't ready to go serious, and all of a sudden, boom, you know? It's a good change because Palace locks, because this place locks the other deep dungeons. Bad gatekeeper. That's also not a bad, that's also not wrong. However, in terms of locking it behind other deep dungeons, and probably the other chat said it already, you can die on the early floors and keep the run going. You could die 100 times and still get to 100. You just couldn't get to 101. So it didn't really lock it behind unlocking the other deep dungeons. It only locked it behind progressing through to the harder floors. So, like, you couldn't get to the hard floors because of those deaths, you know? Okay. Let's see if I can fish out a toad trap here. Because this is the other thing I wanted to put on display. Which I can do now because... No. No. Okay, well, I need to... Hey! Thanks for the raid! We have another Willow in chat. We found another one. Hey, thanks to Raid Willow Birdsong. I hope you had a good stream. Welcome in. I'm Angel Demonist, guys. We're doing a lot of Deep Dungeon. Actually, that's mostly what I do. I do Deep Dungeon. And today you've walked into us doing a little bit of a mini tutorial for Palace of the Dead if you're interested in getting Necromancer. On Red Mage specifically, although, you know, I can talk about the other ones too. It's not fun. Oh my god, I got small rooms in the entire time. It's another Willow. What are we gonna do? How was your stream, Willow? Jeff, hello, welcome in. Everybody from Willow's stream, welcome in. Not Jester. Nox the Jester, hello. There's no frog trap here, I'm really upset. I was kind of hoping that would explode. We're supposed to be doing Palace of the Dead. But our healer couldn't get his... Oh, that sucks. Oh. Well, hopefully I can fulfill the Palace of the Dead duties over here. I kind of want to be able to showcase the Cobra. I'll see if I can do it. I might actually reset the file if I don't see the Cobra. Mine was good. Didn't realize my mic was messed up until the end. Like you weren't talking, like they couldn't hear you, or it was just like kind of like what do you call it? It was kind of like just wonky. I don't know why, but my launcher does not like updating. It takes way too long. That's interesting. Maybe there's something corrupt with the file. Oh, rip. Maybe there's something with the file. Like sometimes a file reset kind of helps to help that out. I know I had a big issue in the game one time. I remember I was trying to queue into an alliance raid, and I legitimately could not get in there because my game would force close when I tried to enter one specific raid. And I tried to change characters, and it did it again with the same character. And I'm like, well, guess that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm gonna abandon duty, right? So we just like rage quit. I was really angry with myself. Like I didn't want to deal with that run. We still can go in, and we still don't have a KO. You like my shirt? The Jollibee stuff is fantastic, and this was gifted to us by Square Enix. So I'm very thankful for that. So I'm putting it on display in case you guys are interested, because it is great. And I actually highly recommend them. I'm not... so they gave it to me, great. That's really nice of them. I'm not obligated to sell this to you, but I am doing it because it actually feels really good. So they actually are fantastic, and I like wearing them. At least you didn't stream your Dragoon run on accident like Sig. Did he seriously not know he was alive? So I really want to get that Cobra on display. So this will be like really weird to see, but it's also yet another reinforcement on the fact that you can just kind of keep resetting the run. You die, whatever, if something happens, you disconnect on 1 to 100, you can keep going. That's perfectly fine now. He thought he pressed record in OBS and he hit go live instead. And he just kept going. Like, he just didn't, he's like, whatever, I'll just keep going. You know, I always fear that because record is directly below streaming. I always make sure that I'm hitting the right button. What happens to the Poemanders? So the file basically just nukes itself and it resets like it didn't exist. So your original palms that were there when you entered the floor, that's what they are now. And also, that's everything, right? So your Aether Pool is also reset. Your Sustaining Potions, not so much. I mean, your Sustaining Potions are outside items, so they will keep going. So I'm actually up to 49 now. Yeah, in terms of that, your palms just go back to what they were prior to when you entered the floor set. That's why I think this will take me a little bit to get this whole thing in, because there's a couple things I want to put on display. And it'll take me a little bit longer, but that's okay. I get to hang with you guys, which is also the win. Okay, I think the Cobra floors are 14. We got the Slime Death, and we want to do the Cobra Death. But I have to get a frog trap for the Cobra Death. Imagine I do this for the next hour and I cannot actually find a Cobra trap, a frog trap, reinforcing the fact that actually it's a very low occurrence that you could possibly die to a Cobra. But we put fear into you because it's obviously something that can happen. So if I don't get this on video, it'd be great. Slime means are no longer going to be a thing. I need to get ready for bed. Oh, no, you're good. Do what you gotta do. I'm very happy that you came over here and picked our stream, so thank you so much, and have a wonderful sleep. It's fantastic to see you, and I hope you're able to go back to the Palace at some point. Deadly seeing a lot of momentum into Palace of the Dead. So doing Deep Dungeon of the Month with Palace of the Dead at the moment was kind of really good timing, because it seems like it's popped in a little bit. Seen a couple of people running it. Radiant was running it. And a couple other guys are actually looking into the title, which is about what you would expect with this type of this timing of the patch cycle. So it makes sense. You love the 11 aesthetic? Me too. I love the 11 aesthetic. It's my favorite. I come from FF11, and Red Mage was very much the premier solo job there, so I wanted kind of a very similar thing. I'll have the Chocobo ensured see-through. I don't have a heart. It's right through the heart, so it's gone. There is no heart. Rip me. Rip me. Hey, Velvet, do you want to see something? Look, I'm gonna eat a Chocobo. Look at this. I just whip out the Chocobo, dude. Look, it's even steaming hot. Look, I'm so happy. I don't even know where that came from. Played it over. Yeah, I played it for like about 8-9 years. 2004, and then tack on 8 years. So I've actually definitely been playing this game longer than 11, which is actually kind of interesting to take a look. To actually just have that in my head. Like, I've actually really been playing this game longer than 11, because I thought I played 11 forever. Julian, hey, I managed to catch you live tutorial. Hello, how you doing? Yippee. What did I miss so far? Actually, if anything, one of the things that we had gone over, I mean, we're still on the lower floors, right? But one of the things I was explaining are one, we started with a low Aether Pool count. And a low Aether Pool count, we started literally at 9-9, and we're now at the cap for under 50, which is 49-49. Like, we're at 14, we're done. We also started with no sustaining potions. We are putting on display the fact that there is no KO count anymore 1 to 100. You can die as many times as you want 1 to 100, and you're not gonna blow up the file. That's a brand new thing. And we died intentionally here because I wanted to put it on display. So here we are, and I'm actually gonna try to die intentionally again if I can get this to work. 1 to 200, that's hard. I never tried the first Deep Dungeon solo. Should I play Black Mage or Red Mage first? Ooh. Honestly, Black Mage feels really good. Red Mage is very interesting. I think if you like Red Mage, it's not a bad idea, but Red Mage is a very interesting choice. And hey, we're gonna put it on display, so if it looks good to you, great. Black Mage is very strong, but the defenses on Black Mage are kind of spicy, kind of yikes. And I mean, it is a caster. Casters are very interesting compared to non-casters, for sure. But Red Mage is fascinating. It definitely demands a little bit more skill expression, in my opinion. That's a landmine. There's no frog trap here. What the heck? I will try one more time if I do not see a frog trap. I'm gonna show you guys the trade secret of a Cobra and a frog trap, which will definitely give you nightmares potentially, because they do this 100 floors later, and probably a lot more concerning 100 floors later than here. We showcased the slime death to show you guys that you can start this file back up again with no KO. Wait, they removed the 0 death requirement for 0 to 1. When that happened, this patch. Yep, this patch, and that's why I'm talking a lot about it, because it's funny, because it was like a big thing with us. We saw it immediately, but obviously we're still getting the news is still trickling in for you guys. So making sure that I'm making sure that you guys know about it and putting it on real display with this tutorial. There is still no frog trap. How is that possible? What? Oh my god, there's no frog trap here. I get like one more floor to do this. If I play Black Mage, I can burst fast with the enemies, but no healing. Okay, potion is the healing, but not so much like Red Mage. I would say if you rely a lot on Red Mage healing, that's a little bad. Like healing on Red Mage is great, but you're not doing DPS with the healing. So there's definitely a big balance between trying to heal optimally and getting your damage off. I was completely blindsided too. It was completely blindsided. I don't remember seeing any mention prior in patch notes. Nope. It's also something that, I mean, certainly none of us really would have requested, right? Like, it was not a top concern for our community, but I can see how it's useful. Not really concerned about that. I just didn't think they would apply for a title because they're mean. Wait, I just didn't think it would apply for going for the title. They're mean like that sometimes. Well, the 1 to 100 is the story floors, right? So those are the floors that are like, you know, they're there. So you kind of have to cut through them, and I think Palace is definitely the biggest offender in terms of it being quote-unquote boring. That's for sure. I don't think there are any more Cobras here. I'm gonna reset the file one more time to try to fish out the Cobra display, but I don't know if they're gonna be here anymore. I can't even fish out a Frog Trap. So if I can't do it, then... I mean, maybe I'll think about doing it on the later floor, but... Light Mage sleeps, if the situation gets dire, you can search sleep, search models, wait for sustained healing. Yeah, okay, we're gonna reset one more time. And also in this case, I'm gonna sneak in an ad, so thank you guys for watching. Ads are gonna go out here on Twitch, a little bit on YouTube, and then we'll try to hunt down a Frog Trap so I can put something in display. If I don't see it, then we'll just kind of continue the run on this one. I don't want to do this forever. BRB. Oh, wait, let me answer this. Kinetic says, is it possible everything on the floor stays the same as well? No. Layouts are different. Layouts are on a seed, so they're gonna be different. I'll definitely come back to check out your content, be done something in my list to tackle. We specialize here in Deep Dungeon Solo Insanity, so we'll be glad to have you back if I'm in 14. Alright, BRB guys, see you in a bit. Thank you for that follow. Lidjokito. Appreciate that. Jokito. Yeah, it wasn't the Cobras so much, Miss Velvet. I didn't see a Frog Trap. I would have stayed on the thing if I saw a Frog Trap, but it wasn't there. With the way you're doing the DPS and heal, with some classes and now the new expansion, what if they let Evolved Red Mage do a little healing with their DPS abilities? Oh, like it's built in and like baked into the thing? I mean, if it makes sense. Like, I'm sure that there's going to still be a major balance with PvE, Ether Bunny. Right? Because obviously you're going to create the jobs revolving around raiding content. So, I mean, first and foremost, no matter what Evolved is going to turn into, it's going to be revolving around the fights. So they're going to make sense for the fight. Now, if they don't want, you know... I mean, the way they make healers... they're making healers sound is that they really want them to heal more than to just do DPS. So if you put a lot of heavy load on the healing for White Mage, I mean... unless you're intending Red Mage to be a sub-healer for any specific purpose, then I guess that's fine. Unless you're gonna also, like, kind of require DPS and, like, all DPS to have some type of self-healing. I mean, Bloodbath is a thing, right? To have to force them out of that to make sure that they can get their heals back, then it would make sense to have something Bloodbath-esque on Red Mage. But there would still have to be some very interesting balancing acts in PvE content. Yeah, but in like PvP it's odd, right? Because everyone has healing, everyone has guard, and like just some have more defensives than others. I mean, Viper is just a mitigation disaster for most people, not the job itself, but for people playing against them. So you have a lot of kits to work with, but that's also self-survival. So it's balanced around almost like the self and potentially team synergy and timers. But here it's like in PvE content, you're revolving it around a fight. So if it makes sense, it makes sense. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. However, it would just have to make sense with what they're going to design, if that makes sense. When I understand you can switch between Evolved and Reborn when you're out of combat. Yeah, and I'm actually curious about that, Miss Velvet, because I wonder if they'll put in something for Deep Dungeon, if it'll be something you can change out of combat, or they lock it on the file. So you have kind of 3 iterations. A, I kill this Toad, I swap to Evolved, boom, I kill another one, swap to Reborn. B, you have to have the set before you enter the floor set, and you can't change it because it's restricted. Or C, you have to pick Evolved or Reborn at the beginning of your file, and you're locked into that. It's almost like if you queue in as a Marauder, and you can't change to Warrior for the rest of the run, you're committed to Marauder for the rest of it. That kind of vibe, you know? Again, it's just we don't have any information to kind of say one or the other, but it would be interesting to see what they decide to do with that. If they lock it to the file, they need to make a new leaderboard? You would hope so. I would love to see a duplicated leaderboard for Evolved. That would be fantastic. Honestly, they better, because I mean, what are the leaderboards gonna be if they're just muddled between Evolved and Reborn? I mean, we'll have to go through a process of being like, hey, if you want the highest score, go Evolve. Like, and then we have to find a way to communicate that information to people, which obviously with like we've already had like 5+ people be like, wait, they removed KOs? It's like I hope I don't come across as like, why didn't you know this? It's like, this is the perfect reason why we're talking about this, because obviously people aren't sure about it. Because clearly the patch notes are not gonna be clear enough to explain that. So we're here to explain that. So that becomes the thing. It's gonna be such a headache because it's like, how many comments am I gonna get that question? Which I don't mind answering the question. It's just, you could also present it in a way where everyone understands the situation, right? You separate the two leaderboards, you have two websites for it, no confusion. I mean, you have to say that there is two, but, you know. So you assume we read the patch notes? No, not that. It's not even that. It's actually not the reading of the patch notes per se. It's the interpretation of what that information actually means, right? I mean, I'm almost thinking, like, people will look at it, they're like, that's not what that means, right? And then we have to be like, that's what that means. You know what I mean? It's more that. They removed KO? They removed KO. Well, they removed KO for the story floors. So I've already reset this file twice, and I've died once, and we can still go to 101, no problem. If I don't see the frog trap here, then I am going to just keep going. I'm not going to do this for the next hour. And maybe if that's the case, what I'll do is I'll slot it in. Like we'll like, you know, do an offline file just to do it. So that way I can just farm it at my own leisure and just get it on record. On record? Record. English. It's really nice they restrict me to 2 floors to do this stuff. Certainly, this 3-room will have a frog trap. Surely. Surely. Affluence. There's a lot of Cobras here. Surely that won't be a landmine. Man, you know, I'm gonna be like, hey, don't concern yourself with Cobra. Like, we're just gonna erase it from memory because apparently there are no frog traps on these floors. Why worry about a Cobra one-shotting you when it doesn't even exist to begin with? So essentially, just explanation-wise, this Cobra does have a special move. If you were to fight a Cobra, and then you were to step on a frog trap, the Cobra will be able to use a very special move that can instantly one-shot you. It's just a very special mechanic that only they have and they possess in a very specific situation. That's what I was trying to get on display. Unfortunately, it didn't want to show up, so we're just gonna have to move on. That's the problem. I haven't seen the trap. The trap isn't here, so I can't do anything. Like, I can't wait for anything, right? The trap has to exist for me to do it. Then open your eyes. You open your eyes. Did someone say monk? That's what I need. I need a monk to step over these traps right now. They're not frog traps. Yeah, they're not... Okay, I'm just going. We're just gonna keep going. I could be doing this for the next 3 hours. Like, we're not gonna see it. It'll just be... I'll just slot it in at some point. I mean, I have it on display on, like, I think other things. I could also do it in 101. Alright, so we're gonna continue the run. So, like, aside from the slime being the deadliest one, nothing else is overly deadly, especially when you're killing them really fast. Again, title, live tutorial light. There's, like, not that much to kind of go over here. Interlude, thank you for the follow. There's not much to kind of go over here because... You know, in terms of the challenge is not gonna be challenging as much, and you could just face roll yourself and eventually get to 100. That's not a big deal in my opinion. To be honest, just to make it a YouTube shorter clip of something next time you see your frog trap. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's one of the things I can also do too. Definitely have a lot of options to do it. But it's also like it's not like I don't have it displayed somewhere. But of course, in the context of this video. By the way, there's a little bit of an example of trying to handle a bunch of enemies together with a witching trap. Not a bad way to go, especially if you want to go a little bit faster. So note, we have 2 deaths on the file right now. Actually, 3 deaths on the file. Technically, if it recorded, we have reset the file twice and died once. But you'll see, we'll be able to step into 101 no problem. Literally no problem. We could die at any point, we'll step into 101. I'm actually at pretty low level here. But I used to be a little bit concerned. It was one of the questions that Runix had asked me, like, what level, like, how do you manage your levels in here? And because of the Ether Pool chains and the Sustaining Potion chains, I basically don't manage my levels at all. Because I don't think it's really necessary to do so. This is a scoring file, apparently. We actually just put on display the scoring issue with this, because you just keep resetting till you get a good file, and this is actually a pretty good scoring file, because it had like 2 or 3 treasure rooms. Kind of funny. I was experimenting with my build. Discover the glory of Stag Rune, the wolf one. Why is the blue rune so freaking strong? Yep. Wait, it does Vuln too? I thought it only did freeze. That's the one I use. I have it attached to, it does both? Really? Why is it Bone Ring? I didn't think it was in the kit, unless the original kit has it too, which I didn't look at. I have it attached to... I forgot what I have attached, but I basically... was it not using a potion every 2 seconds? Something like that? I have wolves permanently, so it's always just there, freezing all the time. Is Death Chains confirmed to not count against scoring then? Against scoring? It should not, because, yeah, people can use it for score reset, Rory. Because essentially, if I were to die right now, whatever I did from 11 to 19 does not exist. So it just like loads the file from that save point, right? It's like any game with a save point. You're just loading the save point back up that didn't happen. Did I answer that incorrectly? What Velvet said is probably right. I have it with Engi now. So every 3 seconds I get 25 offering banks, so use core skill. Oh. Yeah, I do, I have, I think the 200 offering per 2 seconds on healing, and I have the minion out. If I have minions I get offering, which of course will just handle everything. You gonna take over the world? Okay. Are you gonna be a king? Is that what's gonna happen? You're gonna be a king? All your scores all belong to me. Yeah, me too. I can't wait for that. So this is going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, because this thing is 35 and I'm 31. So this is where Sustaining Potion is very, very good. Because you'll see the damage I'm going to take from this boss. Like, it's really tremendous. So you want to be careful with that. But that's why Sustaining Potions are fantastic. So just make sure you're chugging them. Especially on harder things like the boss tier. Popping another potion because I'm gonna get tank bustered here. Alright. 20 in the books. Arm and Armor is 59.49, so we're basically at the pre-50 cap here. So as you can see, we're going to go over here, right? So granted, before this patch, you could still go to 100, you just couldn't go to 101 if you died anytime before 100. But if you take a look at the file, there is no KO count, because it doesn't have a KO. So we're going to step straight into 21 here. Nothing. So in this floor set, level might be a little bit important, because the lower level you are, the harder the enemies are. One of the bigger concerns also is a possible Mimic in 21 to 23, because it's gonna level you if you get a Mimic. So I highly recommend a Strength Steel, Witching, or hey, you die? Just reset the file and go back in and not spawn a Mimic, right? That's also one way to go about it now, because that was a concern. But this, I would say, is probably the hardest set of the first 50, because the scaling here is interesting. Strength and Steel is going to be pretty good to open up with, because it'll kind of mitigate that kind of difference here. Also, this will be a really good example if a Mimic is here. It is not. Use Fruit to get 50 HP. The optimization. Velvet with her optimization. Top tier. Hope you're doing well, Cog. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We're kind of going through here a little speedily, so if you're trying to go along and following me, good luck. Hey, it might give you good pacing. But that's also one thing I know people like to use these videos, like to have it in tandem, like they have it on a second monitor as they're going through the floors themselves. Not a bad thing. It's like I'm running with you, except it's a solo run. But a lot of the things I always ask is like, okay, well, are you keeping up with my pace? Because we are going to go fast, or I can go fast, and we're going to go efficient. And that's one thing that you want to develop, especially as you go through these floors. It's a pretty good habit to have as you go through these floors. Of course, it's a little less concerning because you're not gonna die, but it's still good to do once you step into those harder floors. Messing with display settings and capture card settings will last 4 hours. I'm ready to sleep. Ooh, that sounds fun. I know those days. Trying to figure out the freeze issue. I think the only time people really get trouble on these lower floors is if they just kind of take on more than they can chew. If you start getting like a luring trap or something like that's really where danger will start to happen. But if you're kind of keeping it clean, single pulls and everything, you really should be fine in my opinion. Actually, this time still trying to figure out my gradual delay issue I have. Oh, with the capture card. Oh, I remember that being an issue with one of my friends before. I never really found a solution for that. Yeah. I don't think I've ever noticed it on your end, but I'm sure you probably see it, and you're very attuned to that too. I think you were talking about that one time with you doing some when you were singing some songs and it would be just like offbeat when you're watching it back or something. Also bear in mind as we go through this, if you have any interesting questions about Deep Dungeon, concerned about something, also if you think, oh man, this must have been asked 1,000 times, no, because I'll answer it 1,001 times. It's perfectly fine. So never fear that and just ask away, because hey, you might be asking a question that like 10 other people might have the same question and aren't sure. This is the time to ask it. This is the perfect time to ask it right now. As on my microphone, which if I use filters on my microphone, the same thing happens. Oh, I see. Oh yeah, that's right. That happened with the filters. That's right. I remember that. Oh, by the way, we have confirmed the Ross collab Saturday, my time, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Eastern. So he's going for the nighttime stream. However, before that, 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be on Mog Talk. I don't know why I'm going to be on Mog Talk, but I'm going to be on Mog Talk to talk about the Evolve jobs. Frosty asked me, "Hey, what do you think about the evolved jobs?" And I gave him my thing, and I'm like, "Bro, you know I only do deep dungeon, right?" And he's like, "You're in." Like, okay, game. I'll be on Mog Talk, sure. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna talk about. But I trust him, man. He's gonna ask me good questions. I have a very important question, says Sarathi. What's up, Sarathi? First, take a ask. Is Black Mage easier than Red Mage in PoTD, even though it doesn't have Cure? Is it easier than Red Mage? Ooh. Is it easier than Red Mage? Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Oh man. I think it's a toss-up, because Black Mage is in a pretty good spot, but I think I would still edge it with Red Mage a little bit, but I do play Red Mage very good, so I think it's hard for me to kind of say that. But I think what it comes down to is if you have the same skills between Red Mage and Black Mage, how to survive and how to do things, I think Black Mage could probably get ahead on Red Mage. Red Mage, you can fall back on the healing, which is really nice to have for a run, which obviously Black Mage does not, but Black Mage has damage, and Black Mage will kill things pretty good. And it feels really good to kill stuff on Black Mage. That's its biggest benefit. Okay, Sarathi asks, how come I've been here for 2 floor sets and I haven't heard any FFT? I don't know, because you haven't said anything till now, so maybe you'll hear it on the next track. Oh no! Wait, Sarathi, I took them all out. Sorry. No, I took them all out, I apologize. Been away from 14 for 2 years, came back straight to PoTD and made it to 180 thanks to your live guides. Thank you, Interlude. I wish you the best and good luck on the run. So, Sarathi. You know when Final Fantasy Tactics, the new remake, not a remake, the remaster came in? That was a great game, by the way. I like that. I played that on stream. We had a good time. Actually, it was really hard because I made chat pick the jobs, so that was great. So the problem was, once that game came out, nearly a lot of my older VODs triggered the DMCA on tactic songs. So I had to take it off the playlist because I wasn't dealing with it. That's why. And that was in conjunction with the game coming out. It was so dumb. Because they do that all the time too. Like if any old Square Enix game comes out, and I have the music in the playlist, for whatever reason, like, oh, you can't use that song. And it's like, but it's been there for 3 years. Why are you doing it now? You know? So yeah, that's why it's gone. That's why I don't have tactic songs in here. Do I have a Black Mage VOD? Yes, I should have a Black Mage VOD. Yep. Hey Shady, how you doing? That is 121 to 200, but I also did the lower floors as we always do. Some copyright troll farm put it in the crosshairs. Yep. Yeah, no problem. Had the wrong combo. I remember when I watched HOH Black Mage VOD to see how it was like, and you picked up 11 wipes and 81 to 99. I love those files, and it's valid because you learn absolutely nothing. You just don't pick up anything. It's a good thing I did Black Mage like how many times? We did Black Mage so many times on Heaven on High. So, Now, Interlude, you came back after 2 years, right? So I will tell you and inform you, just in case you don't know, one of the new things that we're putting on display for this guide especially is the fact that KOs no longer exist under 100. So if you die between 1 to 100, and you have to restart the... Well, let's say you die in 100. You can actually go back to 91, and you can actually proceed to 101 because the game did not record a KO on it. And kind of it eases up a little bit on that initial climb, but if you die in 101, like literally you step into 101 and die, you have to go back to 1 because the title requires you to go 1 to 200. But on the story floors, on all deep dungeons, not just Palace, it does not record a KO on any death or any leaving or any disconnect, whatever. Did someone say monk? Man, that monk, man. Did not know that. Did they change? Yep. Last week. Fresh out of the gate. 1 week old. So if you're doing a reclimb, you know, you can feel a little less stress going through 1 to 100, but definitely buckle down once you step into 101. feel it's gonna aggro from like 9 miles away. So again, I'm gonna put this on note that I am walking along the walls here because I try to avoid as many traps as possible. So if you're going through your run and you're like, oh man, like I hit so many traps, and then you're watching me, I'm like, well, you don't hit traps, it's because I'm hugging the wall. I like to say I'm licking the wall, that's how close I go. This Brigand's gonna kill me. Literally. More than likely, by the way, we'll be on 14 literally all week. I was actually thinking I might finish this in 2 days, but I don't think I'll finish it in 2 days. I am still alive in Diablo though, so praise be that. But between trying to get this guide out, trying to do the mini guide that I want to do, be a lot more 14 in the play. The floor is lava, as we say. Yeah, that's true, yeah. The walls are not. The walls are water. Beep boop, beep boop, beep beep boop. Let's do this. Let's do this, because I'll go a little bit faster. Get to the boss a little bit quicker here. So you can see how long it's taking me to kill this, because my level difference is pretty significant. I'm 5 levels difference from the Centaur here. Usually in my older guides, I always recommend like for people to kill along the way. But because of the Aetherful change, because of the Sustaining Potion change, because of the now KO change, just vibe in here. Take as long as you need, take as short as you need, whatever. Just have fun. You'll find the balance somehow. Honestly, this makes it a little bit more challenging, so if you're the challenge enthusiast, then like, do this, because it'll make it a little bit harder. One thing that actually could be an option, though, to kind of help your levels is using an alteration, which I do have one. Because the Korrigans and the Mimics will give bonus XP when you kill them. Pretty exclusive, I would say, to Palace, because of the larger level gap that you're dealing with. The other deep dungeons are kind of more equalized in terms of, like, not giving that bonus. But for Palace, it actually does help a little bit more on the earlier floors, but please note that due to Heaven on High, EO, and PT having only 100 floors, the Death Not recording only happens until level 30. On floor 30 for those. PoTD special because it's 200. It's always a special child, dude. It always has to be the special one. And that is true with what Elder Child said, 100%. Which I will use that alteration now to kind of help me out. We will kill the Mimics and or the Korrigan that show up for the XP. You'll see a lot of XP come in because of it. Also, Bronze Chest can be Mimics, which this wasn't a Mimic. So you see, it's level 43. So it's a little bit harder and stronger than I am, but we'll get some good XP out of it. Like almost a full bar there, so that's worth it. More Mimics, hooray. 3 of them, heyo. Nice respawn, love that for me. I have to kill it because it's proximity. They're 1 level back to back with the Mimics here. So you actually see the number that's coming up when I get XP. 16,000. If you look at all the other XP, oh shit, 5k, AK, but there's 16,000 from Mimic, so it's a significant amount of differencing XP there when you get it from the Mimics and or the Korkins, which will give basically the same amount. Again, it's relative, right? But got a loss, it's good. I don't think this strength is going to carry me to the boss. Unless I go a little bit faster. I got a treasure room of Korrigans! Yo. Julian. Let's go. Gonna be a fun sight for that. So with 59.59, I'm probably not going to get an upgrade here anymore. And that's fine, but you're going to start getting upgrades when you step into 51 plus. And that's just how it goes. I started with 9 and we're already basically halfway capped. And that's just how this deep dungeon works now. I think it's a little too much, but it does the job that it was supposed to, which was kind of easing people through this content for sure. I made a mistake at Behemoth. I realized too late that I did not have the boss HP percentage. Oh no! Oh god, yeah, I guess that is the thing you have to turn on, huh? Yikes. It happened. You know what? It happens. It's seared into your memory. You made the mistake and you get better because of it. That's like I always like to believe like mistakes like that, interlude. At some point you were gonna make that mistake, may as well just get it over and done with, you know? That's all. So it happens. Just shrug it off. Make the lesson. Yeah. And you're now a much better person because of it. Because you've learned an important lesson. And something that you just shared in chat. Maybe you just saved someone from having the same agony. You know? I think that's one thing where I think even now, maybe more so with current social media and the way society is that people are afraid of making mistakes, or they're afraid of displaying mistakes, or they're afraid of showcasing failure, because people just want to be just want to present themselves as the best of the best, you know, hiding everything under the rug. I mean, that's a lot of what social media is. Why would you post like, you know, everything on display? Just showcase what's best because that's what people want to see, and that's where like things get really weird about that. In terms of realistic perception on things. But the reality is, like, especially with this content, I mean, you learn from making mistakes. Like, there's nothing else to it. Like, I try to tell you as much as I can. I try to hopefully cover as much as I can. But this is the one content where I can't possibly cover every single situation in every single deep dungeon in one video. Like, we'll go through a run, and there could be something that would it be a significant thing to go over, and I just never have it happen, right? Because I like to do the runs very organically. I don't like to force things out that are not natural to what a typical run would look like, you know? I mean, yeah, I could artificially create, you know, a no-palm situation or this and that challenge, but to me it's like, no, that's not really how the run was supposed to be. I'm just doing it to doing it. But making those type of mistakes is precisely how you get better. Because, I mean, hey, I could have told you that, but like, you'd be like, yeah, I get it, until you actually make the mistake, and then it's like, now it sinks in, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? This is gonna hurt. Actually, I'll do this, but not the steel. Joxy, hello. Last night, I was watching my Reaper run a couple years ago, and got to floor 101 before I took a break. I'm mainly a Reaper main, and I'm trying to get the title as well as the Firecrest. Ooh, good luck! Reaper was a lot of fun, and it's very strong. I still very vividly remember hopping into Reaper when it first came out, and I'm like, Because that was during the expansion when the stat squish happened. And I distinctly remember it's like, did they really mess with palace that it's so easy now? It's like, no, actually I was heaven on high, right? So it's like, man, it's Deep Dungeon like really changed this much that everything's just falling over? But then we realized that it was just because Reaper, which is extremely strong. And it was really funny that way. But it's very powerful. I mean, it's not like, you're not talking like massively powerful that why would you take any other melee job, but it definitely is in a really good spot for what it can do, and it's kind of have like a nice full defensive and offensive kit. I mean, the 30-second shielding is such a vibe. So yeah, I hope you have a good time with Viper. I really did like the Viper run. You just have to kind of keep in mind that you are DPS, and I think a good thing with Reaper is that you just gotta kill everything before it kills you, and you'll be in good shape. If you go through a fight, I mean, you do have kiting tools, but like make sure you just drop it before it drops you. There is just too much to be aware of. I honestly felt so comfortable up until, yeah, good. I'm glad. I am typing. Okay. I'm glad you feel that way, and there is a lot. And you know, I try to cover as much as I can, but you can only cover so much, and the rest is kind of up to you. I mean, and I also feel like even if I were to do like maybe a shortened version that isn't like the actual run, I don't think it would sink in as well, right? Because it's like, to me, the full run, unedited and everything, has some value, even though it's not quite the popular way to do videos on YouTube for sure. How I look at it is like, you guys are the ones that are going for the title, right? I mean, if you're in for the title, if you're trying to get the title, you're going to do what you can to get as much information as possible. And I feel like to me, this is the best way to show you, to be in the moment and to do it as you do it, and to see every iteration of it, right? Because if you just skip ahead and do certain parts of it when it's not on display, if I were to skip ahead, it's like, well, what if you missed something that was really actually essential? Little bits and details, you know? So I like doing this. Although I do still want to supplement guides like these with something a little bit shorter to kind of get to the point, especially if someone wants to maybe go like semi-blind. It's like, oh, let me get the gist of the job, and let's go with that. You know, that's what I want to kind of do with Red Mage specifically. See how you guys like it, etc. They're great. Watching the fails, just yes, and I know, and you know, interlude. That's something where Aurora Moon convinced me on that one, because for a while I had only posted our successes. I had only posted when I got clears and kind of tossed out the ones where I didn't get a clear. And he told me, he's like, look, man, I learned a lot from when you were not winning, because there was so much grit and so much determination to try to get through, and it just didn't work out. And that's where a lot of the lessons do come in. I'm like, you're right. So we post everything. It doesn't matter. If it's a fail, if it's not, we make it a point to make sure we post every bit of it on YouTube, especially if that's what's your reference. Okay, so 30's down. So now we're gonna step into 31. Really, in all honesty, I think 21 to 30 is probably your hardest set, like I said earlier. 31 to 50 is gonna feel a little hard, but the scaling, it's almost like 21 kind of shoots up, and then 31, 51 kind of, and 41 kind of level out a little bit. Not that it's easy. It doesn't feel as jarring with the difficulty of enemies. Not to mention, once you step into 41, you're probably going to be capped level by then. You're going to be at 60, so everything kind of is a lot more smoother. Here, 31, you're still looking for levels, especially if you're going a little bit quick like me. So things will be, that disparity of level will still be there. But strength and seals are usually going to be good to you. You can start seeing rages here, so that's going to help kind of speed things up to you. So let's step into the next set. Shun for raid clear is about to go back into 12. Yo, good luck, man. Hope everything goes well. So here we'll pop a strength and steel. I like to pop a strength and steel on the beginning of every set here. It just kind of helps me go a little bit faster, especially because you will have that kind of level difference. As you can see, this ogre is 51 and I'm 46, so it kind of bridges the gap a little bit in terms of that. And then by the time, you know, maybe the strength and steel falls, you'll be a little bit more equaled out with the leveling here. I used to watch those long Deep Dungeon videos on 1.2 to 2.5 default speed enemies. I actually learned actual timings. Good. It's actually cool to hear that then, because I am always curious about how people engage with the content, right? Like, what do you do with it? I mean, the thing that always stuck out with me was people telling me like they ran alongside me, and I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. I never even considered that being what was the reason why I put them out there like this, but I mean, my original reason was I just don't want to cut anything out. I think every minute of the run is important in Deep Dungeon. Every decision that you make, every choice that you go, every movement that you do has a purpose and has a reason for it to be there. So that's why I always never wanted to edit those full runs out. And anyway, it's like, it kind of goes back to my original, it kind of goes back to how I always return to my foundation of why I did content creation to begin with. Because content creation for me was sharing my passion to you guys or to anyone who wants to watch the stream, you know? If I had approached it being a content creator, then I would be looking at algorithms. I'd be setting up videos to get views and everything. That's a little bit different, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's definitely a path that requires a little bit more finesse to handle it. But that's never been my thing. I'm not playing with algorithms. I'm literally just doing something I really have a good time with, and I just want to share it with you guys. That's it, you know? So to me, the long VODs are just my way of expressing that. I think the run's important, so that's how I'm going to show it. Now, granted, I've done some things that are catered to content creation, but it's also kind of a evolving way of me trying to get the information out to you guys. That's kind of how I look at it too. It's like, well, I gotta kind of improve this because it's better for you to digest it. That's how you go about it. I watched entire 10 floors and did it myself after, so the info is professional. I think it's the best way. That's what I think so too, but what's also interesting is just a lot of people will definitely absorb information differently, right? That's why I've always loved the idea that I take over the video guides, and you have a lot of other content creators that do video guides, like Fan and Sig has his famous Red Mage guide, but you have Meiji's handbook, the written guide, you know, and I don't touch that direction. I don't have a written guide. You go to Meiji for that. And I think it's such a nice 1-2 punch because maybe you're a visual person. You like to watch the video. You want to see it in front of you. So I got that covered. Maybe you can't use video. You know, for me, I can only watch a video guide for so long. I have to go in there to do it myself. And that's sometimes where the written guide is perfect because maybe you just want references. Maybe you want to imagine it yourself. Maybe you retain information better by reading it on text. It's there for you to digest, you know? You can use that if you want to. So, to me, it's always like the approach of a teaching process or a learning process is just, what's your best way to learn? And let's figure out how to get that information to you. I mean, I will have my own method, but I'm always open to finding another way to find how to get this information to you best, you know? I did kind of have to blow through all my Poemanders for Resolutes to beat the 100 boss, though. Also, the name is pronounced Jocksin. Okay, Jocksin. Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna try to remember that. Jocksin. Okay. I'll try to remember Jocksin. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, like, there definitely is, like, a safety play to do with the 100 boss for sure, because that boss can get very spicy. It is a respectably difficult boss nowadays. And that is actually a result of the stat squish back in Endwalker. Was that Endwalker? Or no, it was Endwalker. Because the boss actually was not that hard before. Like, if you start looking back at my older, like, Stormblood or Shadowbringer videos, like I think a couple people were referencing them, and then they would walk into 100 and like, this guy's really hard, what happened? Like, you were going through that so easily and breezing through it. I'm like, it's a lot harder now. So you have to actually put some effort into it, but yeah. I mean, I think burning off all the resolutions for that fight is not a bad thing. I mean, you would like to pick another one up before you get to 140. So you kind of like, you know, running a risk there, but 140 can be done without a resolution at least. I mean, you can just fight it normally, which is fine. Most of the community will do it kind of the easier way, the quick kill way, if you will. Safety is good. Strength is good. I did it on beach drop, let's go. Especially given that there is not much use for resos between... Yep. But I'll tell you, Rassius, I mean, I can confirm to you with my own runs that there is a possibility you do not see them. And that sucks when you don't see them, especially when you're trying to open every chest. It can happen, it's very rare. Actually, when we did the charity run with Cog, with a cognitive, I had used my Rezo for 140. I never saw another Rezo until like 191. I never saw one come back. And chat emptied them out. Like they donated for me to use for us to use a Rezo. So I was at 0 at like 51. I never saw it when I stepped into 91. So I walked into 191 with 0 Rezo. And it happens. I've only had that happen one other time, which was Monk, where like I remember walking into 191 on Monk, and I'm like, I still only have 2 resolutions. Like, what is this? Like, I've never seen it. Like, it's so rare. I've actually had people actually walk into 100 without 0 resolutions. I gotta turn that on at some point, but I'll keep it off for now because we're doing like a tutorial. Ish tutorial light, Darth. Don't worry, I will satisfy your need for the information, but I'll be next week when I get off this. Hell yeah, Cardia. Oh, the Cardia. Honestly, I keep having a wall put up on me from that boss for some time until last night. For the 100 boss. The 100 boss really is not easy. Like, it's a tricky fight. Once you get a handle on it, I think it'll be a little bit smoother. Maybe that's what you kind of mean, like you got a handle on it. But it can get very spicy very quickly if you don't go in with the game plan. I feel like the nice safety way to go through that fight is to look to burn 2 resolutions. I have it down to 1 reso, but that's only if you're like mega comfortable with the fight. And that's a situation where I think the removal of the KO can help people that are trying to go for it for the first time. I mean, 100 is challenging, and man, would it suck to like go through to 100, wipe on 100, and then you have to go all the way back to 1 because the file is dej, you know? Like, I can see it from that perspective, and say what you will, I mean, you know, newer players are not going to just stroll through and get Necromancer. It's going to take the effort and the research or the information or whatever it is and the runs to get through. This is still a very difficult challenge. I mean, if it was... I mean, I definitely have been seeing a lot of like, oh yeah, Necromancer ain't so cool anymore because there's a lot of them. There's a lot more people with it, so it's not that cool. I'm like, yeah, well, because we keep helping people get the title. Like, the guides are fantastic. The information is fantastic. That's why people are getting them. But with that being said, you still have so many people who still fears this challenge to do it. Either don't have the time or think it's too hard, and that's who I'm looking for. Like, I couldn't care less that there's a lot of people, like... It's just the fact that there are people out there who would like the title. So we're gonna help. And definitely it seems like, as I was mentioning before, around this time of patch, towards the end of an expansion, you're gonna see people start having time to do it because they want to play 14, and they start cleaning the slate on their achievements, and they just run into this achievement, you know? Odd mentality to have. What's that? That the title's not cool because a lot of people have it? That mentality? Oh, I'm not gonna do it because a lot of people have it. Yeah. No kidding. I think it's a very silly mentality. Because essentially you're ignoring what it takes to do the thing, which has not changed at all. It's like the way I was thinking about that conversation too, Kinetic. It's like if there was a concern about the rarity of the title increasing the coolness factor, then why bother making a guide? I should have just gotten the title, kept my mouth shut, and then be like, hey, look at my title, guys. But that was never the purpose. It was like, hey, I got this really hard thing down. I really would like you guys to also have it, right? So by nature of that, people are going to get it. So like for me, it's like the absolute reverse, where knowing that a lot of people have Necromancer, I want to think that I at least had some hand in a good amount of those people with the information that we have out there, you know? And with that being said, because over the course of time, the information has gotten better and better because people have gotten into the content, had their own interpretation of the content, and we've dissected this place so much that there is just so much information now. And that's because people were excited to do the content, get the title, and stick around with the community. So the information is so good because of the people engaged with it. And so by the nature of that kind of progression of information, then yeah, the content is gonna get easier because I mean, also like the other thing too about that, it's like the content is 10 years old. It's like, of course there's a lot of people with it. Like, if anything, you don't look at it in the sense of like, you know, yeah, there's a lot of necromancers because it's 10 years old. You know? I mean, arguably 7 years old because the title wasn't around when it first began. But like, you know, it's like if like you have an ultimate and in like a month people have the same amount of titles as like necromancers, it's like, but you don't look at it as that, you just look at the rarity, you know, forget about the timestamp. I never understood that kind of gatekeeping. In my view has always been more of a solidarity brotherhood kind of thing, like, you know, that person also went through all those floors. Well, here's the thing. I think the people okay, I could be wrong, Rassius. I think the people who are saying that are people who will not actually do the title run and just yap because that's all they're kind of good at, right? They didn't actually go through the challenge, they didn't actually do the thing. And because they don't have it, it's not cool. That's what I think. Hey, yo, brother, thank you for the raid. I hope 14 treated you well. Welcome, guys. I'm Andrew Demoness. You've walked into us doing a little bit of a tutorial light on Red Mage. It is the job of the month in the month of May, where everyone in the community is trying to do Red Mage, and I thought, well, I have a lot of experience on this class, this is how I got Necromancer. Let's do a little guide for the people who are going to try to go for it for the Deep Dungeon of the month. So here we are. Although these early floors, you're not going to get too much out of me unless you ask a good question, but we're just running through it, kind of a visual aid of this. So if that kind of suits you and you're kind of interested, definitely ask some questions, sit around, watch around, anyone who wants to hang around from Brother's stream. But thank you so much, and I hope you had a good time over there. Can I ask you a not good question? Darts, shoot, dude. No, only I can have the title, nobody else. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, Necro isn't just for the 1% anymore, it's a 1%? Yeah, that's right. It's actually more than that. Sorry. Sorry we made guys, I'm sorry. We gave you information to try to get the title yourself. I'm sorry, it kind of muddled the rareness of this title. My apologies. Next time I'll make a crappier guide so people can clear less. So we'll do that next time. Good luck. Got my best score so far in PT. Oh, let's go. That's better than me. My PB in PT is 1.96 at the moment, which I'm pretty proud about, but that's amazing. Good job. Wait, does it show the Aether Pool level at sync and not... Oh, no. So I nuked my Aether Pool, Darth, at the beginning of this run to showcase what it looks like if you have low Aether Pool. Clearly, it is not a concern because we're already going to be capped out, so... But that's kind of the product of recent patches. People don't even look into the account of how many runners got Necromancer on multiple characters, so yeah, you're right. Yeah, I have Necromancer on, like, at least 3 or 4 characters, so yeah, that's completely true. No, it doesn't matter, man. Agent, it doesn't matter. When you log into the game and all you see is Necromancer, clearly everyone has a Necromancer, so I mean, you know, it's not special. It's not because it's the title that people earn and they want to showcase it because they're proud about it. No, it's just because it's not rare, that's all. That's the only reason. Just imagine pouring so much time into a thing you enjoy and find cool. And the reaction isn't, I want to show this, and the reaction isn't, I want to show this to more people so they can have it too. I know, right? Am I ignoring silvers too? I am now, because what's really weird about Palace of the Dead right now, Darth, is up until 50, this essentially is capped. So once I step into 51, it uncaps again so I can get it up to 100 or 99. But right now, it's a little pointless for me to open a silver because it doesn't do anything for me. Maybe average, like, yeah, true. Any pointers on how to survive boss and higher floors as Black Mage, even with steel and potions I have wiped from autos and unavoidable attacks? Let's just, what deep dungeon are we talking about? Are we talking about Palace of the Dead? Just to make sure. Just to double check. Next job for 8.0 is Shield Tank. Yeah, man. It doesn't matter what the job is, I'm gonna do it. I think I'll probably do the Fizz range, though, for Palace. It's like all the Ultimate Legends around. Title means nothing because people have it. Ultimates have a cakewalk. That's right. Ultimates are too easy. Everyone has it. I did try doing it a while back where you were saying as well, only using one res, and I was able to do it once, and unfortunately died in 101 in the first time because I got hit with a luring trap and kind of went to panic mode. There. Oh, dude, the enemies in 101 hurts. Especially if you get a deer. And if you get a deer and a Yarzon combo, that's bad. QT last wipe 160. 160 is really hard. That is a very difficult boss to fight. So what I definitely would recommend when it comes to specifically 160, I mean, one, you definitely don't want to be standing in place. There's a lot of slide casting that you're doing, like how I'm doing it on Red Mage is kind of similar. So every time you cast, you're always going to be trying to move with a cast. So that will help a lot with mitigation. I think also 160, one of the biggest culprits for 160 is if you're standing in place, when the DOT puddle comes down, you're already going to take a DOT. You have to be in motion when the puddle is about to go. I actually just linked... I had just linked earlier my own Black Mage run, and I think if you zoom ahead to the 60 boss, it's going to be a really good example of that, because you definitely want to be a little preemptive in terms of movement on that boss in particular. I can 100% understand how you probably were dying on that boss, but a lot of it might not have necessarily been from the boss hitting you hard. It's because you were taking the DOT from the puddle, which hits really, really hard. Like, one dot is significant. So when you kind of pick up on the timing of when they're supposed to do that puddle going down, that's kind of when you want to be in motion, even if you have to kill a cast or two, because then you'll be able to mitigate that damage coming in. So something to very much keep in mind, and I highly recommend checking that video out and look at my 160, because I'm pretty comfortable on Black Mage for that. I did move, but not nearly enough. Yes, yeah, I guessed as much, and like I said, when it comes to that, hey, thank you for the 5, I appreciate it. Just specifically when it comes to that puddle, you have to be preemptive. And I'll repeat it, if you're in motion and that puddle drops, you're already too late. You're going to take a DOT. Because he drops it in the middle of you, and that's a big puddle. That's why for melee, it's very advantageous to just basically run around in a big circle, because you can avoid the puddle. But essentially, Black Mage is really the only one that kind of concerns itself with that issue, because you have to do a lot of stopping casting. Yeah. And if you have to basically run around, like you're like, I gotta just run because I think the puddle's going, it's a lot better than having to just take the puddle. We're low level here, which is fine. Have I done Reaper? Yes, I have done Omni and EO. So I do have a Reaper VOD somewhere. Kill the ads here, guys. Don't sleep on the ads. Make sure you kill the ads here. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Last time I did Reaper and EO was 2023. Luckily for EO, there isn't that much changes in that content, so it's pretty relevant. That's the VOD for the Reaper run. Yeah, run for your life. And if anything, Saurus, again, if the timing gets a little weird and everything, best case scenario, run until the puddle drops, and you know you'll have some time before the next puddle drops, you know? And I think even with doing that, you should still get it comfortably under 8 minutes. Because you just gotta do it within a steel window. Really? Does it not crit? That's interesting, I didn't know that. So what you're telling me, Velvet, is that the 160 boss had the Shadowbringer patch. It loaded the Shadowbringer patch and installed the game, which is why it doesn't have crits. Not counting Corrigan. Boss is on a free trial. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Boss just has the future update. I missed. He was bad. Heirloom Scream. I'm getting hungry. Ow! Uh-oh, that's not good. Don't die! I didn't have a potion rolling there. Dude hurts without steel. What the heck? Need more accuracy mounts for real. For real, for real. For real, for real. There we go. And that's because there's a 5-level difference here. That's why that thing was getting really annoying. So, like, again, original question at the beginning of the run, how do you manage the levels? Well, again, I don't care as much because I have sustaining potions and you have capped Aether Bowl. And if I were to die there, I just reload the file, no big deal. But, yeah, steel is going to be good there. Chugging your sustaining potions is going to be good there. Okay, stepping into 41. Here, I'm very close to level cap, so things are still going to be a little bit, like, take a little bit longer to kill. But once you get about mid-floor, you'll probably hit 60-ish, and that's when things will start to level out. So just keep killing. You'll see, actually, if there's anything to talk about in this floor set, is that enemy density will be higher. In this thing, you'll see a lot more enemies, and you have to kill a lot more to get through the floors. This used to be the original stopping point for when Palace of the Dead first came out. You'd actually only released 1 to 50, and actually your arm and armor only capped at 30, so it's pretty hard to actually clear 50 solo until they kind of released 51 plus. Yeah, this has a little difficulty, but nowadays it's not, you're not going to feel too much difficult. I would still say 21 to 30 is probably still the more difficult route in terms of the first 50 floors. So let's start to ease up here. All right, let's hop in. 41 plus, shall we do it? And take a quick snap. Yep, go. Old Tridab Tails? I think it predates Tridab though. Tridab was still doing it when at least sustaining potions were in play. Is nutrition considered a third-party tool? Yeah, we can file it under PEDs, sure. Performance enhancing. Hey Banguini, how you doing? Of course, you know, actually, maybe not because it's sponsored. So it would be a little bit different. If it wasn't sponsored, then, you know, but it's sponsored, so. When were sustaining potions added? 4.0. I think you can actually look at the patch notes, and that's when it was added. I honestly thought it was earlier than that, but I remember looking at that a while back, and it was that patch in the Stormblood patch that they added in sustaining potions, which also aligned with, I think, the addition of Red Mage. Although no, I think I'm wrong. I think it might have been 3.38. Might have been 3.38 for sustaining potions, and then Red Mage and Necromancer got added 4.0. I believe. That might have been the thing. You could look at the patch notes of those at that time, and it'll be there. From what I can recall. As like hard evidence to make sure, but it's actually really easy to look up patch notes and the old patch notes because they still sustain, like they still keep them. Which is why, if you guys don't know, and the other Darth JF had informed me that was it? It was 4.0. Okay, July 18. July 18, guys. That's an important day. Who in chat knows why July 18 is an important day in the context of what we're doing? The quiz. It's a quiz for chat. Free chat knows. July 18. Nope. First clear, my first clear was March 19 of 2019. SGDQ? No, AGDQ was 2023, and that I think was in January? Is that not January? Nope, keep trying. Come on, chat, I believe in you. I believe you can figure this out. I'll give you the answer when I reach 45. Or 45. If you can't figure it out by then, I'll tell the answer. So stay tuned. Ow, why did you interrupt me? Sometimes you will get interrupted on Red Mage. That's a thing. What is the question? Why is July 18th going to be important? July 18. $2,000, yeah. $2,000, yeah. The upcoming July 18. Why is that going to be important? Beastmaster is September 8th, I believe. I love these guesses. This is great. I'm actually impressed with myself that I know these other dates because I'm keeping them track in my head too. Bam. Bam, bam. I'm still on Alpha Sword. What's the question? Why is July 18th going to be important in the, as Velvet asked, the coming this year, July 18 coming up this year? Why is it going to be important in the context of us? Now, staying within 14 is good. It's Saturday, not a patch thing. Is that a tequila? Oh my god. Oh my god. Yo, what's up, Tequila? How you doing? Welcome in, guys. Guys, check out Tequila. Fantastic content creator, a Final Fantasy XIV veteran, but also does a lot of other games. He's huge on DBD, on Dead by Daylight. Been doing a lot of other games as well, as I have. I've been doing quite a lot of variety as well. Good to see you. Welcome in, Music Junkie, Tequila themselves, Alice, hello, Ava, hello, Krim, hello, Waka Blitz, hello, Berlin is July. Well, Berlin is the end of July, actually. Tequila, how you doing? Welcome in, guys. You walked into us doing Final Fantasy XIV. We are doing a tutorial light on Red Mage if you're interested in getting Necromancer on a Red Mage. You've done some guides on the other jobs like Machinist and Picto, but right now, we have this thing in the Deep Dungeon community called Deep Dungeon of the Month. And every month there's a focused Deep Dungeon and a focused job. And it just so happens that this month, in May, it is Red Mage. So that's why we're going to do a little mini tutorial, because I haven't really done one in a long time for Red Mage. So if you have any questions about Necromancer, Red Mage, whatever it might be, you are welcome to ask them. I'm kind of just going through the floor, so I'm kind of being, you know, just like getting through. Nothing too crazy, so we're not going heavy on like the info per se, because I mean these floors are like a little bit simpler too. But if you have any pertinent questions, we have. And let me catch up first on Tequila's stuff. We love the variety. I'm doing well, thank you, man. I'm just chilling, reset things today. Gotcha. So I was asking my community, and if you guys wanna chime in before you head out, and if you gotta head out, do what you gotta do. I was asking my chat, why is July 18 coming up in this year an important date within the context of here, of what we're doing? And I'm going to give the answer by the time we reach 45 if no one can figure it out. And no one has figured it out yet. It's not surprising. It's a pretty obscure reason and why it's a very specific date. It is a Saturday. What's the date of Deep Dungeon? Ooh. Pretty close. Pretty close. You're very hot. You're like super hot. Is it my birthday? My birthday's March 3rd. Anniversary of the first Necromancer, very close but not quite there. The first Necromancer was, I believe, March something in 2018. PoTD was released, that is the answer. 10 years ago, July 18, 2016, Palace of the Dead was released. So it's an important day, because that is the 10th year anniversary of Palace of the Dead. I'm going to try to do something. At the very least, I'm going to be in Palace on that day. Well, actually, I'll be in Palace like Friday and Saturday probably doing something. I don't know what I'm going to do. But we'll try to do Palace of Dead. 10 years. Day of the Deep Dungeon, D-Day. It's, yeah, pretty much is the Day of the Deep Dungeon. So it was PoTD's birthday. Yeah, not my birthday. But Palace Dead's birthday. Can we hold something fun on that day? We could. I mean, if you guys think of something, I mean, I'm just gonna go and do Deep Dungeon, you know? The D in PoTD stands for Decade. Palace of the Decade. Yeah, this is me telling you guys I'm old AF because I've been doing this content since release, and we're still here, you know? Patty Cake, hello. Thank you. Welcome in from the raid. Edda cosplay? Oh boy, Edda cosplay? That'll be interesting, actually. Not a bad thing. Would be nice if Essie planned something like a new reward. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? That's not gonna happen, but hey, that's kind of cool. Oh, it's okay, Patty. You're exactly on the right time that you needed to be here. It's all good. A 24-hour stream? No, that's your job, Miss Speedrunner. Every time I see a pillar, I'm just gonna name it Velvet. Charity stream again? No, I'm gonna... Oh, the Ross stream is Saturday. The charity stream with Ross is gonna be Saturday, by the way, if you guys are interested. We set that up. It's gonna be nighttime, my time for a stream. So, the 9 o'clock p.m. time slot. We should be announcing that 100 floors are being removed from Palace. It's like, it's about time, you know, 10 years after we should do, so we should change it up a little bit. I started playing FF14 as a whole in 2018. Whew. Yeah, man. I started playing 14 in 2013? I've been here too long. I've been playing this game way too long, guys. Been a content creator since 2019. Been here way too long. So, oh, with 1.0, I didn't even get... I did not have a PC strong enough for 1.0. I actually had the collector's edition for 1.0, but I did not have anywhere near a computer that was able to play that game. That was kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. You know how Souls players do weird runs like speedrunning using a flute? Maybe something like that? Oh. Hold on. I got this, guys. Hold on. You mean like this, right? You mean like this when we cleared Palace of the Dead with a joystick? With a flight stick? That one? That's what you mean? I still have to do PT, but I don't know. I have to get into the mood for it. Dark Souls speedrun on DDR Banana. I do a flight stick. We did the flight stick in Deep Dungeon. We cleared all 3. We just haven't cleared PT yet, but we did all 3. It was hard, but it was fun. There was a really interesting, actually, Miss Velvet in chat, who's yapping away. She was actually part of the inspiration for that one-handed challenge. So, I had her in mind for that. What's up, Colleen? Good to see you. Welcome and happy, Tuesday. That's her, Miss Velvet in chat. She used the inspiration for that one-handed challenge. So it was really kind of fun to do that, with purpose. I mean, yeah, a challenge, but also there was a purpose. There was an accessibility purpose with that one, and I had a lot of fun doing that. I also didn't have a PC good enough for that, for 1.0, but I did do the PS3 closed ARR beta. When ARR came out, my laptop was good enough to play 2.0, and I did the beta in 2.0. Are you gonna think I only have one hand? But I mean, I never said that. I mean, I guess if you make the assumption, sure, but I never said that. I just said you're an inspiration. I mean, you could have just been like, hey, you know, how about this thing about doing a one-handed thing? You know, that could have been the conversation. No, you threw yourself under the bus, so that's just not my fault anymore. Should do a crazy challenge like not using a mouse? Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Wow, I should not use a mouse. I never thought of that. What a wild idea. Like, who wouldn't use a mouse? Holy moly. Okay. Go in here. I wonder how fast an experienced 4-man can do PT 71 to 80. I would talk to the speedrun division. Because we do have a speedrun division, they can probably answer that question for you. I don't know the question, I don't know the answer. I covered in my senior year of high school. Long story short, I wrote a Gamer's Corner segment to the school paper, making note the servers were nuked and that AR is basically on the way. Ooh. You know, I actually would have been... I would have enjoyed the idea of doing, like, game journalism in a way. Of course, I would actually play the game, but, like, that was something that I thought about would be cool to do. I like writing. I like talking about something I'm passionate about, but... it never panned out. Instead, I just, you know, go live with a camera and we start yapping about games, which is great. Occasionally. Sometimes I don't have the camera on when I'm playing other games. Yo, what's up, Deathspell? How you doing? Just checked and the Black Mage did it solo in like 30 minutes. That's not fast. Hey, thanks to follow. I appreciate it. 30 minutes is... I mean, you could probably do it faster than that. Like 30 minutes? That's pretty slow. I guess a fresh run would still be hard, but yeah, it still seems a little bit slow. Yo, Pastel, welcome in. So, no, hey, look, I guess, like, you know what? You came in the right time, so all good. But what I'm saying is a 4-man run is 9 times to go from... Wait. Wait, what are we doing? Are we doing... Oh, for XP. Oh, I didn't see the context of it. I didn't see the context of what we're talking about. I climb and I climb. Okay, thank you for the follow, Pestle. I appreciate it. So we're gonna be 60 here. So now things are gonna be like normal. So this is level cap for Palace of the Dead. It would only take 9 runs to go from 91 to 100 when 8.0 launches for new jobs. I'll do it in Palace of the Dead, I'll be fine. Seems like a pretty chill place. Thank you. I'm, I would like to think I'm pretty chill. I dare argue that I'm someone that would technically can be considered low energy. Which sometimes to some people that's like a negative connotation. For me, it's like that's precisely... I'm not very... You know, I think I would almost think like Tequila is pretty chill too. And so I would almost think like kind of similar in that fashion. Like he's super chill. So I don't really like, you know, jump on couches and everything. I kind of just like play games. I saw someone say you're chill, but I hated PT. But I hated PT? Wait, what is that? Wait, what does this 2 have to do with anything? Wait. Hold on. Hey, Magnus. What's up, dude? I wanted to ask something, but I feel like it's something you get asked a lot, and I don't want to be annoying. Banguini, ask that question. You better ask that question. Well, so I'm just gonna stop right here and not continue this run. No, what I always like to say is this, okay? Whenever we have a question that's been quote-unquote asked a lot, this is what I say, and this is really true. If you think it's been asked 1,000 times, guess what? It's gonna be asked 1,001 times. And also, look, man, we have a lot of people who are lurkers in this community and in this channel. I live off the lurkers. Like, I love the lurkers. Don't come out to say hi. I mean, you can if you want to, but I totally respect it because that's me. I'm a big lurker in many, many channels. I know what's going on, but you will not hear a peep out of me. So by you asking a question, you are actually someone who might be asking a question that you just answered it for like 10 other people. You know, because they didn't want to type, they didn't want to say anything, they didn't want to come out alert. So any question is fine. You know, so ask away, please, because especially when it's deep dungeon, I don't care what it is. I love talking about it. I was curious how and why I ended up using such an unorthodox control scheme. FF11. FF11 was the reason I play like this, because in FF11, mouse was kind of questionable at best. And also, by the time viewing anxiety is a real thing, yeah. Jaeger, I completely know it. Dude, Jaeger, I have had people... Actually, Aurora Moon was like this, Sig was like this, our buddy Sig and a couple other people. Darabon was like this, where like they were lurkers for such a long time, and they finally felt like they wanted to start contributing to the community or to the chat and everything. Now they just won't stop talking. But it took a while, like a couple years to kind of get that I don't want to say confidence, just kind of getting used to it. I believe he was one of those crews that was quiet. Yes, was quiet, and then now, you know, Darabon. He is a yapper. Anyway, how you doing? So, going back to the control scheme, when I played FF11, that was 2004. I was in college when that game was there, and I had a laptop. And look, I am one of those guys. I was in a tech school. So we had Wi-Fi, and I would definitely be in class, like having 11 loaded on my PC while class was going on. And so just imagine, like, there's no way I'm going to have a mouse and like clickety-clackety the entire class. So both hands on the keyboard. I set up the hotbar correctly because it was a menu game. So, I mean, a mouse was really like irrelevant in that game. And so I worked it out with a two-hand keyboard. And so I was able to fully function in FF11 with two hands on the keyboard. And of course, you know, visually it would look like I'm taking notes, but you know, I mean, I did good, it's fine. But that's how I did it. And so when 14 came out, it was more like, could I play like I did in FF11, considering I'm going from Final Fantasy to Final Fantasy? And the quick answer was yes, I could, but there were some things I had to adjust to. A lot of the ground targeting initially was kind of rough. I didn't know how to do ground targeting, so with the laptop, had the touchpad, so like anytime I had to do a ground AoE, I would use the touchpad to just like, you know, flick it up and then point to where I needed to. Eventually I figured out how to do it here. Like if you see me do a resolution, that's pretty much our evolution of how I handle ground targeting in this game now. So there's been a lot of things to learn as we go along, but it's just because of FF11. I'm just used to it this way. And I feel like there's so many times when, you know, unless it was mentioned, unless you actually take a look at the bottom right side of the screen to see the keyboard presses, you probably would be thinking I'm just playing like a normal person. You know, like nothing different, no awkwardness or anything. I mean, this is how I play the game. And I would like to think I don't miss anything at all compared to anyone else playing this game. RPG said, just spent part of the evening getting my Enfield factory stuff all modified for the Jame item. Now I just need to get... Ooh, nice. I did that when it first released. I actually have to edit it because I'm overusing Zero Knight at the moment. I don't want to zero out on Zero Knights, but I'll do that tomorrow. I actually have 2 of them going, but I'm about to zero Knight because I have 2 of them going. Why would we ever assume I'm normal? Good, you never should assume I'm normal. The little touchpad in the middle of the keyboard or the one in the spacebar, the square touchpad. I know what you're talking about, right? That little like that little nub in some keyboards. No, mine was in the mine was that touchpad, like the square one. Yeah, no, not the nub. Not the nub. I think I always went with a laptop that had a touchpad like that. Or it just so happened that the one I was looking for always had it. I don't know. Nope. I think only us old folk know what the nub is. Do they have that on laptops nowadays? I don't even know. I don't even look at a laptop anymore, because it's been so long. The pointing stick. What is the official name for that thing? I appreciate the encouragement to ask and answer. I struggled making a mouse useful in 11, so it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. Like, it didn't seem to make sense in 11, so... Ooh, is it the pointing stick as the actual, like, terminology word for it? I never knew what it was. Apparently, Lenovo stopped the nub last year. Oh, interesting. It probably... Okay. Well, maybe touchpads are the way to go. Track point. Okay. Alright, head it down. Head it down. 50 down. The first 50, 1/4 of the run is in the books. So now 51 starts as being kind of the semi-harder floors. And actually what's interesting about 51 is that the difficulty curve, which was like here, and then 21 is here, and then it kind of leveled out, it actually dips back down. So now it actually will feel a lot easier, maybe closer to like 11 to 20 for a couple floors. And then it kind of goes up again. So you'll feel a little bit of a difficulty adjustment, more so because now you're 60 in cap level. So you'll feel pretty strong in here. So you'll fly through the floors. But the only concern on these floors is the traps. So if you want to play extra safe, make sure you fight in hallways. That's about it. And again, if you were to die in these floor sets as you're climbing for Necromancer, KOs do not record anymore. So you can die, just restart from 51, just keep on going. So it's no big deal. This one, Red Mage. I was 14th in the world in March 2019, and Red Mage was when I got my Necromancer. So it's kind of fun to be back on the OG job for this month, where it all started. You get a 154 to pull, only went to 30, and when you wanted to get a weapon, you had to sack all of... Oh yeah, good memories. Good memories, Jason. The good old days. You can start from 51 now? No. So, for the title run, you still have to do 1 to 200. If you ever look at the actual achievement, it will say 1 to 200. And what's interesting is the game does have a feature where if you start at 51 and you get your first scorecard at 100, it will explicitly tell you on the scorecard that the file's ineligible for achievements if you don't have the Necromancer title. But with the new KO change, Jaeger, is that you can die literally a million times between 1 to 100, and you could step into 101, no problem. But then you die in 101, then you have to start back at 1 to satisfy the achievement. So that bit hasn't changed. What has changed is the KO count in the story force. That's the thing that's adjusted. No problem. Did they ever address DC's nuking a run? I'll tell you in 20 seconds. Let me eat some snacks. Wait, I need water. Oh crap, I need to take an ad break to get more water. Thank you, Henry. Actually, today's gonna be pretty chill. That will help out people like Happy, who cleared 51 and 200 and now is going for achievement. Is he really... Okay, is he going for Necromancer for realsies? Is he gonna do it? Did he say that at some point? You gonna feel bad at the run ends? Don't feel bad, because I know this works. So, what they updated, Binguini, this was maybe about 2 patches ago. There is now DC protection. Basically what happens is, you can DC, you can log out, you can do whatever it is on the run, as long as you get back within 10 minutes. If you're out of this file for 10 minutes, the file will die, you'll get a KO. Of course, now you don't record the KO, but you literally get right back into the instance when you disconnect. So logging out is basically a disconnect. You'll see we'll pop back in where we are, maybe get attacked instantly because the respawns are ridiculous in Palace of the Dead. Oh look, called it. So we're back in, look. That is what did not happen before. If I were to log off, I would be back outside and this file would register a KO. Not anymore. He's doing all achievements. He is an Achievo kick. He has to. He talked about it, but I think he would just... if he ever mentions it, tell him that, I don't know, what words can I impart on him? You can tell him you can tell him it's time to stop being a fake necromancer. I can do that. That's nice and toxic or something like that. And tell him to stop using an alteration to 199. That one too. Like also say don't use an alteration to 99, I swear to God. Because that's how he cleared, by the way. He did an alteration to 199 and he knew that I do not like altering like before like 196, but that is what gave him the victory. Like he won because of doing an alteration to 199. So unfortunately I am always in combat when I DC. Sometimes it happens at really unopportune time, Jaeger. And of course in this case what I showcased and displayed is I had a control thing. I walked to a corner and then I logged out. I would almost see, like, totally see, like, a number of reasons why whenever that happens to you, it's just at a bad timing. So, I mean, it sucks, but, you know, I still think it's such a good solution, finally, after 9.5 years, when they put that in, finally, that they put that in, because at least you have a chance. Because I think, you know, just killing the file KO was just really rough, for, like, everyone, because it's just, like, you just know your file's gone. But now it's like, you have a chance, you know? Hey, you come back dead? Well, at least you had a chance. Yeah, but I think it's a fair issue, right? You're still in the instance, things can happen. So, I'll take it. The real thing that a Necromancer title is... I really think that Necromancer title is an awesome title for Reaper. Yes, I agree too. I think it's a great title for Reaper, yeah. Hell yeah, I'm glad they fixed it then. I lost the PoTD. Yeah. The highest floor I lost a file on, Binguini, we were actually trying to do a machinist tutorial guide in Shadowbringers, or Endwalker, DC'd on 193. And I had to do that entire tutorial all over again. That was great. I love that from him. Personally, I like the Reaper for Reaper. Gotta love the hand they use. Actually, Snek, who is one of our community members, also known as Rin, was trying to actually get Necromancer in Diablo 4, because that's a title. The Necromancer you can get in Diablo 4. So, ayo. Crossover. It's a good balance to make sure people don't cheese it. Yes, and I'll tell you, with our community, Ava, people have dissected it and tried everything possible. So there is a tactic that you can take advantage of if you're kind of going with the quote-unquote cheesing. One tactic you can do, it's mostly for score runs too, and there's very like niche situations. But in PT and EO, if you have a demi-clone or an incense out, if you have the fairy out, if you log out, you actually get rid of the fairy, which can have some benefit, because if you have a fairy out, you would know, like if you've done PT or EO, you would know in a solo run, you can't actually open a chest with another demi-clone or incense in the chest, because you can't get rid of the one you currently have. But by logging off, you can get rid of it, therefore picking up something. So for instance, you had an Une out, and you find an Onion Knight, and you're like, wow, I would rather have an Onion Knight. Well, now you can log off, use something else, and then pick up the Onion Knight. Because that's now a feature that you can do by taking advantage of that DC protection. But again, it's super niche. I mean, yeah, sure, like, you know, but it's... You know, you could run into the issue of, like, maybe not being able to log back in, which is also fair. It's there, you know? And I think that's, like the best you can do with that knowledge, in terms of, you know, DCing, etc. I think if you really got lucky, you can probably avoid like bad aggro, but that's dicey because you're relying on the server to actually register that you just disconnected. I actually did have some good results if I were to go to end task, because we were testing it out. I went to 191 in Deep Dungeon, and we tested out DCing in a multitude of different ways, and ending my task and closing and force closing the program seemed to kick me out like really fast. Maybe within like 5 seconds. But I don't know if that's gonna work for everyone. I mean, it worked for me, but I can't say that's gonna work for everyone, you know? And not to mention, like, there has to, it's like for you to go through the process of actually using a DC for your advantage to avoid something like that, like, you have to already plan ahead for that. Like you had some plan that was there to even have that situation happening. Like, a lot of things have to go on for that to even occur. I'm gonna kill the Switch on my Steam Deck and process ASAP. Yeah, you need to turn it back on, you gotta load the game in. That's assuming you're gonna get kicked out. If the game registers that you get kicked out, you know? Yep, exactly. So there really is very little that you can take a massive advantage of that would give someone a huge edge. It's not really there, and like I said, people have tried, so... Is there any reason to pick up Silver Chest and Necro Attempts? The only reason that is there, RPG Hope, is if it explodes. Because if a chest explodes, it does hit the enemies also. And for especially tanks and healers, it's really good to potentially get a quick kill. Especially because a healer, which takes a while to kill anything anyway, you could take advantage of that because you could heal back very quickly. Now, on a DPS job, I don't use it as often, but sometimes I'll get a little cheeky, and maybe I want to get a quick kill as well. But you have to make sure that you're above a 80% threshold on the chest. Actually, I think it's 70% threshold on the chest, because it can kill you too. So you have to be careful that you don't die in the process. But yeah, you can use that for that. That's about it for Palace, though. Actually, I should be opening Silver Chest myself because my arm and armor is not capped here, so I should be doing that. I think I've been skipping him. Took a break from Palace and tried Heaven on High. I was able to get floor 51 before Mimic killed you. The Mimics hit pretty hard starting at 51. Will trivialize aspects of PoTD. I'm highly curious to that. I actually got asked to be on Mob Talk this weekend to discuss Evolve jobs. So we might get into that discussion over the weekend on Saturday, 5 PM Eastern. But that is a very good question because I would like to know the answer as well. But I don't think there's enough information to work with to know what to say about that topic, if that makes sense. But I couldn't even give you any type of speculation in my part. I think it could go either way. I think it could be very broken, but I also think it could be very, like, broken in a way where it's too easy. I could also see it broken in a way where it actually is really hard, and I'm hoping for the latter, but who knows. I think my only hope is that they basically don't touch it, and they just install Evolved, and then it's just like, YOLO, good luck, figure it out. I think that'll be the best solution, in my opinion. Evolved Red Mage will only have Reprise. Eat the Bunny says... so you have 10 years anniversary of Deep Dungeon. And then the next weekend, you get to learn one of the new classes you get to run with next year. That's true, yeah. Yeah. Back to back like that. Hell yeah, dude. I think even with full kits per se, I mean, you're still looking at potency issues. So it's probable even with the full kit, like you're looking at maybe a low potency, right? I mean, all they gotta do, Big Greenie, is just adjust when you get those power increases, right? The the Red Mage, the Red Magic Mastery, when you get your stuff. Oh, no, not this one. What is it? Oh, Maim and Mend. When you adjust Maim and Mend, and that could be like kind of what determines when you get stronger power. I mean, they could put Maim and Mend like starting at 55 instead of starting it at 20 and 40, you know what I mean? So that means you might be actually at a much lower power level when you're going into the content. And that could factor into how you do damage in the Deep Dungeon. Maybe they're like, oh, it's fine for the normal dungeons, you don't need that much power because it's already strong, but what if it's like not strong in Deep Dungeon? But it scales really weird. You know? Possible. The only thing I know of an impact right now is low blow and interject combining to one for tank, so losing a CC for non-paladin tank. My assumption right now is because raid buffs are going away for everyone, base potency will go up for everyone to compensate. Well, what I think might happen, JCN, hear me out, okay? They didn't display low blow and interject, right? In combat. But maybe you get a situation where, like we have interrupt being something you see the squiggly line to make sure that you can interrupt. Maybe they introduce something where that's the same thing for stunning, and essentially your stun is a low recast, but can only work for those abilities, which also means you can't stun auto attacks, which is something big that we do. But maybe they position it where you only can stun abilities, you know, and make use of it. That could be something they may try to do. Well, I guess you compile it into one thing and just make everything like that. What's up, Saria? Thank you for the raid. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you, everybody. I'm Angelus Demonist. We are doing a live tutorial light. It's not to the extent of how I do my normal tutorials, mostly because 1-100 is honestly fairly chill, even more so now with the 7.5 patch because of the new KO update. But we're fielding questions, I'm answering them. If you have any questions on Deep Dungeon, please ask. This is the perfect time to do it, as we kind of cut through these floors and kind of put it on display. Let me give you the shout out in a second here. But I hope you had a good stream. It's always good to see you guys. Check out Saria. Fantastic individual. Wonderful content. And you're gonna have a good time. Look at all these Final Fantasy 14 friendos coming by. It's a pleasure. I hope you're doing well. And like Jacian, imagine also if you think about in the PvP context, because there's no diminishing return, right? And they removed that back in what, Endwalker, Shadowbringers? So maybe you have a situation where everyone has this like kind of set immunity to a stun or a silence when you first use it. You know? Have a great run. Hey, cheers, Joxon, have a good one. I'm not gonna remember that. I would try my best. But thank you, it's a good chat. Moving in and out of your character versus mimics is very strong, while a mimic... when a mimic has to adjust themselves to auto-attack you, it's much slower, you gotta time it right. When they did the stats quiz, they did say they'd watch Deep Dungeon, so I assume... Did they say that? Because they didn't do anything. Unless they were like, yeah, it's fine. But nothing really happened in the stats quiz when Deep Dungeon happened. I think the only time you had a change in Deep Dungeon was in... I think it was whenever Dancer came out. Was that Shadowbringers? Not Stormblood. Or was it Stormblood? When the game was actually broken and you couldn't do Deep Dungeoning because it was actually literally broken. They had to fix it because you couldn't do Deep Dungeon as a DPS, otherwise you just get obliterated. Shadowbringer? So in Shadowbringer, they removed the vitality from accessories, and so like, you know, then they had to readjust HP, but they didn't do it in Deep Dungeon. So basically, what happened was in Deep Dungeon, and specifically Heaven on High, you would max out at 32k HP, so 32,000 HP. And the biggest problem with that is when you walked into 81+, a Mimic can crit you for 34k. And a Mentega can crit you for 33k, so you did not have enough HP to survive a critical hit on a DPS, period. And that was without steal. And you are basically missing 10k HP because you shouldn't be one-shot by those things. And we're talking 81, let alone 91. So it was nearly impossible to clear your Heaven on High on a DPS at that time. It took them a month to fix it, which I was still impressed that they actually fixed it in a month. But it was broken back then. Those were interesting times. That's when I got World First Gunbreaker, because I couldn't do Dancer, so I did Gunbreaker instead, because Gunbreaker was fine with the stat squish. I didn't need that HP anyway. But really good time. Removal of belts, yeah. And the removal, yeah, it screwed up, you know? But I really do hope they don't really put a lot of attention in Deep Dungeon when Evolve comes in. I hope they just kind of just like hope for the best, because I think that's definitely going to be the best solution. Mostly because I feel like them tinkering with solo content has not gone well in terms of a challenge. Now, granted, if that's not actually what they're looking for, then, well, they're going to succeed in that. But if you want a challenge and you want to keep the difficulty of it, you basically just don't touch it, because I think it'll be better that way. Destroy Deep Dungeon. I mean, you're so good with Reborn. And I usually stay optimistic, personally. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is destroyed, though. Yeah, and what it is too, Shady and Kinetic, is that, I mean, I'm gonna feel bad about it, because as someone who wants to put out the information and inform you guys about what Deep Dungeon looks like with Evolve, how am I supposed to not say, just do Evolve because it's easier? You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you want a challenge, you can do Reborn, but hey, if you want that title, you probably want to do it in Evolve because it'll be a much better time. Like, I can't not say that. Like, I want to be honest about it. This is my experience. I'm going to tell you how it is. What's up, Sheila? Miss Sheila? I'm actually going to play this game all week. Can you believe that? I resubbed and everything. For new players, sure, just do it. Do Reborn after if you want the old experience. What do you call it? What was I gonna say? I kind of hope that they separate the title for Reborn and Evolved, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And I think that would be a really good thing to do. Is that you can get Necromancer, but you have to do it in 2 different versions. You know, I would really love that. I don't think they're gonna do it though. Yeah, Evolved leaderboard as well would be very, very good. Because, again, that's another thing we'd have to go explain. It's like, oh, how do you get a high score? Oh, just play Evolved because you'll just be better. And it would just be like, I would have to say that because it's true, but I would hate saying it because it's true. You know? And that's 60. So, for the next couple of floors, by the way, it's more the same. Enemies are going to get a little bit easier into 61 and 71. Just the enemies change. Did I say easier? A little bit harder because the enemies change. But the map layout is exactly the same. So if you handle 51 okay, you'll be okay in 61. We'll go right in. Not much to talk about here. Zoom to 110. I'm right behind you, Tomberry. I hear that Gunbreaker is the best for Heaven on High. Do you think it's worth just leveling that and taking it in if you only have a DPS job leveled, or is DPS pretty good in Heaven on High too? DPS in Heaven on High can be rough because things hit very hard. Now, I would actually argue that Warrior is slightly better in Heaven on High than Gunbreaker. However, I mean, Jaeger, if you never leveled Warrior, well, you only have to level Gunbreaker for 1 level and you're good to go. So that would definitely be a lot easier to do, and I think Gunbreaker isn't too far off of Warrior in my opinion. And we actually just did a Gunbreaker file. I have it on my channel if you ever want to reference it. So Gunbreaker is still very good. Could be cool if they left it untouched. I read that already. So wouldn't work for new jobs since it only evolved. This is good prep for my podcast for all the main points. Bro, what am I talking about on the podcast? I don't know why Frosty asked me to be on a freaking talk about evolved jobs. I'm like, bro, I only solo. I don't know what you're gonna ask to me. But I also trust Frosty. He knows what to do. So if he wants me there, then I know he has a good reason. So I trust him. I trust him, the Frosty. What's up, Mr. Pin? That's right. We're donning our Jollibee attires gifted to us by Square Enix. I really thank them for that. And it actually is a really nice fitting. I really do enjoy it. So we're gonna wear it. Hog. Yeah. I think Warrior is going to be even stronger in Heaven on High and Evolved, so they just reduce enemy damage. But do they do damage themselves? Question mark. Cognitive got his fairly recently, so maybe you'll get yours soon. He got his, and he's over here in the East Coast. He got his like a couple days ago. Missed some of that. They sent it to yes. They gifted it to me. They gifted me 2 hoodies, 2 t-shirts, and a really nice glass. Very nice. Yeah, that's one reason I'm wearing it, because it's really nice, but honestly, it's a very, very good, it feels really good. The shirts are great. I really like the shirts. I only wanted to hear me talk about Evolve. You better take up all the airtime. Well, then you're gonna have to tell Kiwi and Jet to, like, you know, stop talking too, because they're gonna be on that show as well. I have tank, yes, I think there was but Paladin just counters, and for solo, I almost feel excited for Paladin. for the counter thing, because I might just go ham with the counters and the parries, because I kind of like doing that in video games. Be like, that's cool, but let me talk about how this will affect Behemoth. Yeah, it's important to know how this is gonna adjust Behemoth. That's right. You should just have me in voice chat with me, so I can be like, stop, it's my time to talk anytime they start saying anything. Even better, you just do it in Japanese. Be like, what is this crazy lady talking about? Ichido's got my back, dude. Japanese sounds more official. It does, really. Oh, I'll play the song. It's fine. If this song comes up in PT, I skip it because you already hear it's redundant. The song gets played in the famed horror game PC. That's right, the famed horror game PC. That's right. You love PT? I knew it. I knew Chilo loved Pilgrim's Traverse. Yeah, you really had a good time in Pilgrim's Traverse. Also during physical therapy. Can you imagine if this song played during physical therapy? Get hype. You hate PT. What's up, Iris? It was legit great content. I'll probably do that, then thanks for clearing that up. Hell yeah, Jaeger. No, this is a banger right here. So again, note that with Red Mage, we're being like, I know, we're being kind of loose with here, but we're being safe. Nothing too crazy. I'm doing my fights in hallways, hugging the walls as we go through. So there's a lot of things that like I do habitually on a run that may not be as noticed on it. But they all matter. Everything I do. I said this before when we were doing Red Mage in the other attempt I did yesterday. How every little thing that I do in a run all has a purpose, and I'm not just necessarily just hitting buttons and killing enemies. Like there is a reason for literally everything I do. And if at any point people are interested in that, I mean, I can certainly explain it, but you know, definitely don't take for granted all those finer details on a run. This shirt reminds you of Christmas because of a jolly bee on top of a chicken. It reminds you of Christmas. You want me? Yo, chill. Do you want to see me eat chocobo? Wait, hold on. Ready? Wait. Here, I'm gonna eat some chocobo. Here you go. Look, it's even hot. I don't even know why it's hot, but it's coming out of somewhere. Like, I'm so happy, but. Lights. You're happy, Chimkin. That's my thumbnail for when I clear. Free advertisement for Jollibee. Reminds me of the Christmas socks I have Santa riding a dinosaur. The green screen kind of makes the chocobo look like a Christmas tree. Oh. Fair. Maybe that's why. Angelus. Wallen was trying to make me run more maps on my alt so I can get luckiest ladies on. Tell him no for me. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, I told him. I alerted Wallen, so he should see that message soon. I want to work on my alt so I can put it on the adventure plate. got it, sir. So we hit a learning trap, right? That's okay. You know, we have a couple options. I can sleep these guys. Oh look, 2 of them slept. So you have a couple ways out of this, you know? There's a couple routes. You can also pop some sustaining potions if you're really feeling kind of in danger, but... You're so close, Shida. It's just 1, 2, 3. That's all I have. So it's just that, that. The longest static Chila's ever been in her life. That's not big, so I don't want to go that way. Hugging the walls, looking at the walls. Again, I'll repeat this. Palace all deep dungeon. You cannot record a KO in the story floors. So if I were to die right now, I can resume back at 61 and I could still get to 101. It's one of the biggest changes, and that's why these floors, you know, again, I could talk about these floors, but you can kind of face roll through them and just kind of be like whatever, and eventually get to 100. But, you know, it's also, I think, kind of always interesting to see how people get through these lower floors. Because, of course, if you're the one doing it, then you have to go through the motions, go through the actual fights and everything, but I'm very consistent through these floors, so it's just a nice visual for that, I think. Safety. Oh, I hit the wrong button. God dang it. I dove in just to hit my combo and I didn't even hit the right combo. Feels bad. Also note, we started this file with 0 sustaining potions. 0 sustaining potions. And now we have 178 at the moment. So if you're starting off this file and you're starting out doing Deep Dungeon and you're super fresh, it's okay. You can start. You'll be good. You don't have to do any really pre-farming anymore like you used to. Started at 9 Ether Pull 2, that's right. Actually, I think I keep skipping Silver Chest, but it really doesn't matter. I don't have to open it because I'll be capped by the time I get over to the higher floor. Wait, let's drop the chest. Oh, great. Well, I could have done my combo and I would have killed my displacement would have killed it. Oh well. Oh, there's a silver chest in the spawn room. Gonna get the silver chest to get the Aether Pull upgrade. There we go. Now we're recapped again. Have fun. Sheila, if they install and they split Necromancer between Reborn and Evolved, would you get Necromancer again? Yeah, sure. That's the most convincing thing you've ever told me the time I've known you. Hey, maybe I'll try Involved in Palace when it comes out. When it comes out, new Fizz range and all that. Whoa. I'll hold you to it. You better do it. It would be funny if without Burst, no one could beat Behemoth. Good. Do you think, so, okay, Pin, theoretical thing, right? Do you think if that were to happen, if Evolve comes out, and no one can burst down Behemoth, that the first thing is that people will complain that they don't beat Behemoth, or would you think the first thing is they try to figure it out? Because I think it would be the former. I think people will just whine and complain. Which is, like, not the way I would do it, but whatever. Most people will be whining, and a few will be bursting their ass trying to find a way. Yeah, and then it gets fixed because people who are whining kind of, like, are louder. Cats. Yeah, it just doesn't do it anymore. That's gonna be so funny. Oh, I'm dead. Rip. Imagine the patch notes. We understand Ecliptic Meteor and Behemoth is very stressful, so we made it a little bit easier. OMG. PoTD mods cannot crit anymore? Bro, it's gonna be so rough to balance if they do that. Yeah, actually pretty funny. You were just mentioning earlier, just got a DC and PoTD and was able to log back in. Only on floor 19, but still such a nice quality change. Yep, Bacon Senpai. 100%. Get back in 10 minutes, you're good. And yes, it is a very good quality of life change. It's always been, you know, that's been one pain point for people going for Necromancer. Because if you DC'd at any point, your file is bricked, and you're looking at a total amount of time into Necromancer between 10 to 15 hours. Well, 12 to 15 hours. So just imagine. I mean, that's possibly, what, a week's worth of work? You know, especially if you're someone with like a full-time job, and you only have so much time during your free time to even build a file, just to lose it because your connection sucked. It's like, I can see why people don't go for the title. Now it's not a concern. I mean, it's still less of a concern. Things can still happen, but, you know. Let's go. Alright, 71, more the same. It's gonna fly through. Let's do it. Only a 2-year grind will suffice for Chila. Only. You're right, only. You're right, Religion. Hope you're doing well, Religion. Good to see you. Hope life's treating you okay. Sheila, did you know that they released an Amanda Adventurer 3? Did I tell you that? I think I told you that. The 2.5 ones. I was supposed to get water and I forgot. Okay. Rage. Do we need to play it? Yeah, you really need to play it, yeah. I mean, you have so much time, I don't know why you haven't gotten to it yet. Maybe I'll play Amanda 2 and 3 after SH2. I think you were looking at playing Requiem though, right? You're swimming in free time. Yeah. There is no one on this planet that I know has so much time than you do. You play Ari as well. Well, if you're gonna get back into the swing of things, I think you'll knock him out. No big deal. You know, as long as you don't get sick again. Look at this nasty trap. See this trap? Hey, hug the walls. You should really hug the walls. Yeah. I'm gonna send you to your deaths if you hug the wall. I'm so bored, I have nothing to do. Well, I'm aiming for 3 times a week, so it shouldn't be bad. You're streaming tomorrow too, right? Hug him? Maybe the next 4 I'll do that. I need to set up the schedule, but Wednesday, Friday, Sunday mornings, Easter. I gotcha. Good time slots. I like those time slots. I do approve. Welcome back in the ads, guys. Thank you for your patience. We're still vibing, like I said. If anyone has questions about Deep Dungeon, about Palace of the Dead, about Necromancer, it doesn't have to be Palace of the Dead, but this is definitely the perfect time to ask right now. Because I'm in that kind of mood, that mode of like, you know, offering information, doing whatever. These floors in particular, like I said, are kind of chill. So I'm not overly gonna talk about much. When I put this up, this will definitely be a little bit more like, hey, if you want to see how 1 to 100 goes, it's gonna be here. We talk about some things, but it'll be lighter. I would definitely say the 101, I'll probably be a little bit more vocal about things. Maybe like take it a little bit more seriously with the info, but how do you feel about Red Mage caster hat, the 3rd wing? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the gear for Red Mage or caster yet, so I don't know. What is it? Is it the Black Mage hat? Strawberry, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Is it the Black Mage hat? I actually don't know what the caster is for the 11 raid. I gotta go now. So I'm gonna go to Pop Mart with a friend. Okay. The Red Mage set? It's the FF11. I gotta look at it. Do you have a link? Does anyone have a link? Sheila. Oh, that one? That's AF1. That's right. Damn, you know, actually... I am thinking about it. Because it kind of fits the correct style of the Red Mage AF. I don't like the body piece, though. I probably would stay with the Scorpion Harness, because in reality, if anyone from FF11 knows, like if you've played FF11, you actually would kind of know that the solo version for a Red Mage back in the day, it was mostly Scorpion Harness because you had that on for the evasion, because it gave you accuracy and evasion, so it's actually a really good piece. And then you would occasionally swap back, I think, to the body because of the casting speed. But you would be fighting mostly with the Scorpion Harness. It's not, but it isn't just the hat. It's not just the hat. It's also the boots and the leggings potentially. Maybe the boots, but the hat too. I don't know. I mean, by the time I go for it, it'll probably be when it unlocks. Like, there's no way I even have time for that right now. I'm struggling to manage having my gacha games at the moment while I'm addicted to Diablo. Lahi? Lahi? Oh, I didn't have to kill that. Oops. I just do it for the sustaining potion, that's all. Walls are a safe space. Sometimes. Not in these floors, though. And I'm about to lose Shank, so that works out. That range manification melee combo is definitely a huge advantage for Red Mage at the moment. Very good for Red Mage. Strength again, which is good. With a blinded floor. There's an ape to my right. I actually use that banana really fast. Oh, good. Okay, let's just get the strength and go. Okay, that might be a weird question, but what is your personal favorite to run PoTD after clearing with multiple jobs? So, community, recommendations, machinist, warrior. Well, which would you recommend for others to try? So, I always like to say, in terms of other people doing it, my always suggestion is do the job that your main job. See how your main job feels. And you might jump off it, you might adjust to it. Maybe your main job happens to be the popular one, so I mean, you don't have to change anything. But it's always good to play your main job because that's the job that you're used to. And look, there are some people who, like, maybe they only play one job in the game. It might be Astro, it is what it is. But it's like, you know, I kind of personally feel bad when you kind of force feed people saying it's only these jobs that are good. Because then it might get interpreted as if you go with something else, you're not going to be as good. But that's where I always say, like, look, all jobs and classes have cleared. So you can take anything you want to. There is going to be a variance of difficulties, but you can do what you want to do, and that's okay. So that's what I would always say to someone who's looking for a job to do. And then, you know, it's good to have the knowledge of what is community popular. Because there clearly is a community popular job. So, you know, to not have that info in your possession, there's no need for that. Like, you should at least know for it, but don't also get married to it where, like, if you don't take these shops, you'll have a bad time. I mean, this Red Mage run right now, I said it at the beginning of this tutorial, if you will, and at the beginning of stream. If you're looking at Red Mage and someone told you, hey, Red Mage is a really good job for Deep Dungeon, they're working out way too old information, or they don't know what they're talking about. Because Red Mage is not any of the veterans what they'll suggest as a go-to job for one of their first jobs to mention. If anything, I would say Red Mage like 5th, 6th, 7th down the list before I even get to it. But it's not that it's bad. It's a great job. It's what I got my Necromancer on at the time. It made sense at the time. So, you know, it just really comes down to what you want to do, and it really should be your choice, and, you know, gather the information during your run, because hey, maybe you just interpret that information differently than I do, and someone else will, right? Because the thing that I never want to see is that someone is told, and I don't think I've had someone tell me this, but just imagine, like, someone's like, oh, well, you know, someone told me Machinist was, like, the way to go, but man, I just didn't like it. I got Necromancer. It just wasn't fun. It's just like, dang, dude, like, that kind of sucks, because it's like, yeah, you got the title, but man, you didn't have fun doing it? Like, the whole part of this is having fun doing it, right? To enjoy this challenge, this journey, to learn a lot, and to just, like, just have a blast with it. So that's what I would always recommend to people. Now, coming back to your original question, what's my favorite to run in PoTD? I'm biased. I'm extremely biased, Bacon Senpai, and it's going to be very hard for me to be not biased because of AGDQ. In AGDQ, we did the big Games Done Quick Run on the big stage, Palace of the Dead, with Machinist. And that is a memory that is seared into my brain. That's probably one of my best gaming moments I've ever had up to this point in my life. And so it's almost like for me to not say Machinist would be weird. Now, Red Mage is kind of my identity with my account and everything. My profile pic is Red Mage. I got Necromancer on Red Mage and EO and Heaven on High. But when I think about, like, you know, what I've achieved and what I've done and those type of memories, it's just, the AGDQ was just really the best thing ever. So it's Machinist for me because of that. But I do like a multitude of the jobs. I do feel like the Red Mage run is just so interesting and so much fun. I feel like probably on the viewer end of things, like you guys watching it, it probably looks very flashy, and I like putting that on display. You know, I feel like I play a very fun Red Mage to my liking, you know, because of how much experience I have in this class. So I like it a lot there. Hopefully that answers that question. If anything, the tanks to me are kind of boring though. Like I don't necessarily have a decent time. Like tanks are fine, they could do the job and I'll make it work, but you know, if I had to pick, it would probably be more leaning into a DPS job than a tank job, because tanks, again, are just kind of very, to me, they're very kind of monotonous and straightforward. And that's okay. They have their own challenges, but I like the dynamic challenge that a DPS provides. I mean, even I would even put the healer in that category, where it's a little bit a lot of the same. Granted, you could push the envelope, do big pulls and everything, but the depth is not quite there with the healers and the tanks as much as it is for the DPS. Like, every DPS has a different vibe to it, and that's kind of fun. It's just that I've tried on multiple jobs coming back after a 2-year break, and trying to figure out how to best get into it again. My highest score is 130 or something. I never got that high again, stat cap. There definitely is a prog process to figure out what you're going to be comfortable with. I mean, one thing I will say, because you brought up the popular jobs, right? They are popular for a reason, and it hasn't changed. I would say each role has a popular job to it. So for melee, it's Reaper. For tank, it's Warrior. For caster, it's Pictomancer, but you can definitely argue Summoner. Huge argument for Summoner. For phase range, it's definitely Machinist. For healer, you can say White Mage or Sage. And each of those jobs are definitely good at what they do for that role. Whereas the other jobs are going to be a little bit more difficult. You know, Bard is going to be pretty tricky on Behemoth. Astro is legendary for how difficult it is. But you know, it's kind of about finding that groove that you're going to be happy with, because, yeah, like you said, right, maybe your PB is 130, you only got that high, but also you want to enjoy the process doing it. So if at least you're taking a job in that you're like, oh man, you know, at least I had fun, then the grind isn't so bad, because you're not worried about a job, you're just forcing it down your throat because it's just someone said it's supposed to be easy, and I don't know, I'm still doing it because it's someone said it's easy, and like, what if it's not easy for you? It's like, you know. That's why I still remember that conversation a while back. We are basically capped arm in armor, by the way. I still remember a conversation. By the way, welcome to 70. 80 is clear. Now we step into 81. 81, actually changes the floor layout. Enemies are a little bit harder. The boss is also a little bit harder, so you actually start to see the upward scaling of difficulty here. The story that happened a number of years ago is on one of the other discords for Deep Dungeon. There was people asking, hey, what's the best job to take for Deep Dungeon? You know, the very common question, right? Hey, what's the job? What's the easiest job in Deep Dungeon? Get that all the time. And someone goes, objectively machinist. And I remember reading that, and I was just like, I rolled my eyes, and I didn't say anything. I rolled my eyes, and I'm like, how on earth could you possibly say it's objectively better, you know? And think of it this way, right? We're in an era right now, especially nowadays, where you have people who are on EU playing NA, who NA playing JP. Our buddy Miss Sheila is a perfect example of that. She lives in Japan, but she plays on NA because, you know, a lot of her things are there. And it's like, if someone is playing, like I actually went through the process of experiencing Machinist on Oceanic and Machinist on Japan as being someone in NA, and I do not like Machinist with high ping. It's awful. Like, it is not fun. It's doable, like we did it, but I'm not having a good time. And I may as well take in some other job that is not ping dependent, right? And what if you have something like that? In the PT interviews, by the way, plug the PT interviews, new video. If you guys haven't checked our PT interviews, where we interviewed a number of amazing content creators who, or people who cleared PT, the veterans and the newbies. We had one of those content creators talk about how she has severe carpal tunnel, and if she has to play a job intensely or something that involves a lot of button presses, her hand will get obliterated. And she actually mentioned, I think, in the interview, how she had to just actually stop her run midway because she just couldn't continue because her hand was in so much pain. And Machinist is pretty active. A lot of people talk about how, like, they talk about they joke about Machinist being carpal tunnel, and like, what about that? You know, what about someone who like physically can't play the job? How is that objectively easier? Right? How is that objectively better? You know, that's why you have all these other jobs. Now, if you look at it on paper, sure, but it's not that simple because there's so many different angles of approaching it, right? And then you also have the thing about, what if someone just doesn't like Machinist? They just don't like the job. You're going to force it down their throat that that's a job to play when all the other jobs have also cleared too. So that's where it's like, I always want to take that approach. That's why I never do tier lists, because tier lists to me are fundamentally wrong in terms of how to present information when there's a lot of options, right? Not against anyone else doing a tier list. I'll point you to other people doing tier lists, but you never see it out of me because I never want that to be that first initial impression when you look at this content. If you want to do this content with a job that you're interested in, you should be able to do it. You should not feel like you're losing something or feeling that you're not going to be good enough, because there are definitely people who are just really freaking good at a job that are better than anyone else, and they'll just have a good time because that's their main job, you know? I don't like Machinists, but yeah, there's a lot of points I actually not considered. Yeah, if you don't like Machinists, don't do Machinists, like, straight up. Like, just do a job that you like. I have videos for every single job. You want to see how they look? Like, go there, you know? All right, let's hop into Nice Force. 81. So again, this might be a little bit of an earlier stream because I don't think I want to go further than 100 today, just for the sake of just getting this, like, in a nice segmented timing thing. So probably about another hour on stream, if you will. It'll be okay. We'll go through. Yeah, it's kind of that, like, Darth, it's kind of that vibe where, like, there are people who apparently make it their point in life to make sure that they're the ones that are correct in life. Like everyone else is wrong and they're right, you know? And it's like, okay, I mean, if that makes you happy, makes you happy, but I mean, you're not gonna affect me. I'm gonna do what I want to do. It almost brings me back, Darth, to when I was first looking into doing content creation, right? And like, it was like between PvP and Deep Dungeon, like those were my two big interests. And I remember someone telling me, it's like, oh well, if you want to do content creation in 14, like, you better raid. And that made sense, right? Everyone was raiding. I'm like, I don't raid. Like, why am I gonna do something I don't do? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why? Like, if I'm just gonna make content, why do something I have no interest in? Just because it's going to give me views, supposedly? You know? And then here we are 7 years later. A lot of you guys are looking forward to Deep Dungeon streams and Deep Dungeon content. It's like, yeah, I made the right decision. Like, I did what I wanted to do, and then here we are. I'm happy when I'm right and sad when I'm wrong, but I guess happy to learn. Hey Biftech, how you doing? You can just say I like this rather than any opinion other than mine is wrong. You could, but then you wouldn't sound all superior and stuff. If we get a dual gunner as the next Fizz range, I'll try my PoTD clear with that. Dual gunner. The Una class? The Unaleska class? Not the Unaleska, the Una class. But it's gotta be an original 14 job, right? So I guess they can't reference that because I think didn't Yoshi P explicitly say their original jobs? So I guess it can't be dual gun. Well, I guess it still could be dual gunner, but 3-gun job, sir. Where are you holding that 3rd gun, sir? Did they give away anything from the range DPS? No, only the tank, which was dual shielding boy, whatever his name was. Grenader. We have something in PoE which is like mercenary, right? And they shoot like they can have grenades and stuff and crossbows. Makes me think of that when you say Grenader. They were not based on legacy FF jobs, yeah. Dual shields might not be the tank. You know, Darth? True. Can't argue that. He also said one weapon, that was the Crowd Shadow is a new job. Oh yeah. Yeah, but those guys were rambunctious and they were just yelling every single weapon in the book. I still think, by the way, when someone was asking about having long hair in the game, and he was talking about how he was worried, like, oh, but what if it, like, you sheath your weapon with the long hair and you were to cut your hair? And I'm like, bro, haven't you, like, there's so many, like, people with long hair, and not necessarily females, that have videos of them swinging sharp weapons IRL with long hair. It's like, to me, it's like, that's, at least give a different reason than it doesn't make sense in a fantasy world. It's like, it's a fantasy world. First and foremost, if you're worried about clipping, I'm sorry, this game has a lot of clipping. That's like not a good excuse. A butt slider. Wasn't his reason also because clipping in a butt slider? I don't know, clipping doesn't seem like a reasonable excuse to not have something in this game where, like, things clip all the time, you know what I'm saying? Has he seen how badly tails clip painfully looking all over the place? As a guy with long hair, that question makes zero sense to me. Why you wouldn't have long hair for a character? Is that what you mean, Shadow? That's what made... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys are referencing, like, Sephiroth exists. It's like... That's it. That's all you have to say. Sephiroth exists, you know? I'm thinking more IRL application. I'm like, there's so many people with long hair that are wielding actual sharp weapons for, like, just, you know, like, Instagram reels and everything. Like, I don't see a problem. I think what he meant was literally, this is not a question. This is just 2 words with a question mark after them. Oh, yeah, yeah. At least they addressed it. The whole cutting your hair with a sharp weapon. Oh, like that wouldn't be a thing, right? I didn't think it would be a thing either. Like I can see it, but also, again, if you're using your logic as a real-world application, there are people in the real world who are doing it in real time, and you can look at them, they're not cutting their hair off, right? I don't think it'd be so nice think players would actually be asking for butt slider. People have been asking for butt sliders forever, though, to be fair. I always see your butt slider every time. Maybe he's just trying to throw us off the scent of 2 things. 1, we're already getting long hair, and 2, Xenos is coming back. Didn't he verbally say he hates Xenos? Stop talking about him. Which is funny. It's like you put in the game. Just finish off this stupid plan from 120. Yo, let's go, Tombury. I'm proud of you. Are they gonna put Bow Wow Wow in part 3, Bifdeck? Are they gonna have a new version of Bow Wow Wow? I heard what's his face? The battle director, or one of the main people for 14. Like they already played part 3 like 40 times. Man, I love it. So reminds me of like old school video game development. When like the game is developed and they're just making sure it's good, as opposed to releasing a game. It's like, yeah, you know, it's kind of good. We hope it works. Anyway, here's the game. And then they fix the bugs afterwards. It's like, yeah, the game's already... Like, the game could be released today. It's just they're still just making sure it's perfect. It's like, that's very old school. Summer Games Fest coming up. Maybe we'll get part 3 news. So, this is a very curious thing. Because I was wondering how they're going to time... Evercold and Part 3 Remake. Because Part 3 Remake should be on pace to finish around the end... To be released around the end of the year. I imagine Square Enix doesn't want those two games to collide too near each other. So, what timeline are you going to give it? Are you going to give it like a plus or minus 3 month period? You know, like is it going to go 3 months earlier, or is it going to be 3 months after? That's just a number, a random number I pulled out of my ass. But I wouldn't want to think that they want to release the two things at the same time. Because 14 is their major moneymaker, and they're hoping that Part 3 will also be a major moneymaker, considering they're trying to release it on all platforms. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it would not make sense for them to release very close to each other. Like, on a business end, I would not do that for two things that are highly anticipated. I mean, even Yoshi P has quote-unquote pushed the release date because of other games releasing, right? Wasn't it Elden Ring that came out for one of the expansions? Made sure that people can enjoy Elden Ring before they hop into the expansion. Which I'm sure was not technically the true reason. It just kind of worked out that way, but I could also see it's one of those things where, like, you know, when GTA is coming out, everyone's like, oh, you know, we just need a little work on our game. We're just gonna work out some patches a little bit, so it'll be delayed a couple weeks. Let's just avoid GTA 6, you know. I won't expect part 3 till April. Okay. We'll see if you're right. Let's see if I even remember what you said. That's a year from now, Biftech. I barely remember what's going to be yesterday, so hopefully I can remember that. Boom. Oh, I meant to wall. So we're still hugging the walls here, which is still important, right? That's our survival tack. And here, because we don't have any items, we have to be a little extra careful, but pretty smooth run so far. Can't complain. How will sales do since it won't be? Yep. Spoiler alert, it's gonna do better, Wallen. And I'm definitely getting it on PC, especially with the way it looked on PS5 for Part 2. I was pretty disappointed with how it looked in Part 2 on PS5. They made it a little bit better, but I'm actually really excited to get the playthrough on PC whenever they announce Part 3. Because it's gonna look sexy on this PC, I'll tell you that much. With the relevant PC release, that's what I'm getting. Yeah, I think they're trying to do it simultaneous, because I don't think they have that exclusivity on PlayStation. If it's exclusive for X amount of time, then I would totally get it on console first. I do not want to miss release, but especially with all the spoilers that are gonna be there. Man, I was really upset with Facebook, because Facebook was like... I guess I had done some searches on 7 when I was playing the game, and Facebook was showing, like, gameplay from people from, like, the community Facebook page that I wasn't following, and it was, like, just on par with what I'm doing. I'm like, you better quit, because you guys can get ahead of me, and I'm gonna start seeing things I don't want to see. Whenever it comes first, it'll go... Is where I go, except Xbox. I mean, Xbox is PC, right? Switch 2? Get on Switch 2, Biftech? Hell yeah, dude. Also, Switch 2 looks amazing. Flights. Strength is dropping soon. Oh, I mean, sorry, Steel is dropping soon. If it's exclusive to Switch 2, I get a Switch 2, honestly. Like, you want to pull the trigger on a Switch 2, that's enough for me to pull the trigger on a Switch 2. It's a good song, Sari. I like the song. Some of the Honkai songs can get pretty catchy. I'm still, like, halfway debating on if I like the ones from the current area. Not sure. They're like, some of them are good, some of them are a little too happy. Poor. There's like a level of BPM that I like, but there's like some BPM dance things that are just a little too much for me. I feel like the current area music is hit or miss depending on what's going on. Yeah. Yeah. Plan Arcadia. I was trying to remember the area. Plan Arcadia. I'm like, Ahaville? Really? Man, I was just not a fan of Enforius. I really just didn't like Enforius. I think it's just I don't like the theme overall. I kind of checked out on Enforius personally. And then when they brought this song in, I finally like checked back in. But that's just a personal thing. I just didn't enjoy Enforius. But it was also in conjunction with me starting to lose my grip on endgame. I was kind of getting less excited about the game because I couldn't do endgame anymore. Oh, I'm out. I'm just gonna go. See, I'm gonna try to be working on a little bit more of a shorter guide in conjunction and to supplement the Red Mage guide. What I would like to focus on is kind of the highlights about the things that you'd want to do on Red Mage to succeed. So like stagger kiting, optimal healing, those type of things, sleep tech. So that's gonna be hopefully something I get to work on this week. We'll see. I feel the motivation to do so. But I definitely want to do it in conjunction with the guy coming out. And I definitely want to get it out sooner rather than later for the guys doing Deep Dungeon of the Month. So definitely look forward to that. And if you guys like that kind of format, I could probably look into doing more of that in the future. I'm always testing the waters to see what you guys like and not like in terms of guide formats. This is just me doing more of that. So if it's good, great. If it's not great, all good. Like, you know, I don't have to force it. I mean, if you like it, right? But because I do feel like Red Mage is a job in particular that I think benefits off of knowing how to play the job. I think doing the Deep Dungeon, for a lot of people, it's like, you get it, but how to conduct yourself on Red Mage, because Red Mage is very interesting to play in here. I always say that this job does have a pretty high skill ceiling, and you can play it mediocre and kind of okay get through, but you can play this job very, very well and very expertly, and you could actually get a lot of progression and a lot of mileage because you're just playing the job really well. That's very possible. You know, something like a Machinist, like this not... Like, I would say Machinist in a way is very straightforward with its kit and everything, so it's not so much about how to play the job per se, but how to conduct yourself while doing it, right? How to kite, how to sprint when you're going, when to do the burst, what to do the pull. So it's a little bit more like a combination hybrid of like what you're doing in Deep Dungeon. But here with Red Mage, I feel like it's more about the Red Mage job itself and what you do as a Red Mage to yourself alive to make a massive difference in survival. That's more along those lines that I wanted to focus in on. Nice interrupt, you jiggly thing. It's actually been kind of nice to be kind of a little bit more active in 14 a little bit lately. I mean, I'm not going to promise you're going to see 14 for the rest of the year. I gotta pace myself out, but I feel like we're hitting 14 and doing more in 14 at the right time. And I feel like my pacing of doing it once a week has been perfect, because it allows me to do something like this and to not feel like I was burnt out already, you know? Come in for like a couple extra days to do what we gotta do. I've been liking this pace so far, and I was pretty much I was thinking about this like today. Like I was pretty stoked to be actually doing 14 essentially for the week. Even though I really want to dive more back into Diablo and stuff. It's just the right time, I think. I think people, especially as of recently, there was definitely some discussions about the Necromancer title in social media. So it's almost like it's kind of a little bit motivating to kind of just hop in here and get, you know, just put myself out there, be like, hey, that's what you're thinking of. Well, we got the right resources and we got the right information for you, and we'll do it, you know? So we're here if you need us. It's basically what it's always been. Right. And we are 99. Didn't really open silver chest and got there 99 anyway. Let's hop in here. Let's finish up this file. I have a little bit of an early end, but that's okay. And we'll set ourselves up for a Thursday run. And definitely look forward to Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, because this will be the continuation of where we left off here. So we'll do the run 101 to 150, and then set up 151 for Friday. So look forward to that. And then I definitely encourage anyone to, you know, if you have questions about the run, about Necromancer, about Palace of the Dead, about Red Mage, please ask them. No question is redundant, no question is dumb. This is why I'm here, this is why I'm doing this, so you guys can, you know, come in, chill. If you're going for your own runs, I'll offer as much information as I possibly can to share it. We've cleared Palace of the Dead, I think about roughly 72, 73 times, I think. So safe to say I have a decent amount of experience in here. Solo. Not in a party. I think I've cleared Deep Dungeon in a party like 3 times, probably. Not anywhere close to how many times I cleared solo. I've seen a lot of this content, and we were talking about it earlier in chat. I quizzed chat what is happening July 18th. July 18th is the 10th year anniversary for Palace of the Dead and Deep Dungeon. It's a big year this coming July 18th. 10 years of Deep Dungeon. I've been doing content for it for 7 years, but I have been doing this content for 10 years. Like, I still remember, I was here the moment it released. So you can definitely bet on July 17 and 18 we'll be in Deep Dungeon. We'll be in Palace. So probably, I'll try to line it up so we're setting up a file into a clear attempt. I don't know what job I'd be doing though, but we'll do something. It's Red Mage now, so it's almost like, you know, I was telling Ross, it's like Ross kind of felt bad that we didn't end up doing Red Mage in July, but it kind of worked out. So I'll probably do something else, I don't know. We'll see, but look forward to that July 17, 18. I mean, we're not going to make it any more special other than the fact that it's the anniversary. Yeah, let's go in, have a run, do like we always do, all good. But be special though. She never ends until you clear all the jobs? Wait, one seating? I've already cleared all the jobs, what the hell? I'm way ahead of you, man. The only deep dungeon I haven't cleared all the jobs in yet is PT. PT is the one we're going very slowly, but I omnied everything else. Of course, in one seating. I've done a 1 to 200 in one seating, I think, 3 times already. Sometimes you just gotta be in the mood for it. But we've done it. Yeah, we did it for DT. And we did it for a charity run one time. No, not charity. A subathon. The only subathon I ever did on my channel. We did a 1 to 200. Yeah, that was a subathon to celebrate partner. The only other time I can remember. I'm pretty sure I did it at least one other time. Which is like, let's just keep going, let's just go through the stop sign, but... That subathon was great. I very much thank Sky for that, AO Sky, who is a huge help in organizing how to help deliver the prizes. But man, that was just so much work. I never want to do that again. The donation thing we do for charity is just so much easier, you know? Just donate money and then make us use bombs. So much better. I really like that format so much. It's a lot less thinking. But that subathon, as much as it was great, it was such a long day, but... Oh man, the logistics was so much. We're still adhering to the safeties of hugging the walls, fighting in hallways. This war can get spicy, especially if you're running without steel. The damage can get a little high, and especially because it wasn't as high as it was before, so it's something to make an adjustment for. But again, you do have that safety of the no KO recording with the new patch update. So hey, if you kind of just run through here willy-nilly, whatever. You take a death, it's okay. You can start back at 91. At least you learned your lesson, which is kind of huge, I feel like, especially because this is, I would say, the hardest set of the 100. I would say from 1 to 100, the hardest sets are basically this set and 21. Because 21 can kind of sneak up on you in terms of difficulty. The boss here for sure is definitely one that is going to be a little difficult. Especially if it's your first time, it can get a little nerve-wracking. But it is kind of nice comfort for those new players who, if you end up dying in 100, you just mismanage it, at least you can just hop back into 91 and do it all over again. And not have to hop all the way to 1 because you bricked the Necro attempt, you know? And we are at 99.99. We started at 9.9 at the beginning of stream, and easily to cap Ethic Roll by the time before we hit 100. That's one of the changes that happens. Strength. What's my favorite PoTD OST? Lost City, Amdaport. Hands down. The piano there, really good. And OG Diadem. Jewel, I think it's called Jewel. Those are my 2 favorite themes. Everything else can kind of just, I'm kind of tired of it. So I have those on my playlist. So I hear them on my own personal playlist that you're listening to right now. But I guess also the dual music, which I can't remember the name of that song, but the song that you hear when you do a PvP 1v1. That's a good song too. I like that song a lot. But I still remember, like, it was, I think, Snowcloak music that definitely tilted me because it was so sleepy and so like, just so like I don't know, that, like, depressing I think is a little strong, but along those lines of, like, just kind of mellowing out a very stressful run. And every time that song came up, I started to get always pissed off at it, because it's like, oh, I want something more upbeat. I want something to keep my energy up, not make me sleepy. I think that was definitely when I started to really, like, invest more into the playlist. Because you hear songs like this, which is a lot more, like upbeat. And that's kind of where it is. Like, I kind of like the battle themes more than anything. But it's always funny, we always try to make a joke about the back to 1 song. It's almost like the game's telling you that it's time to go back to 1. That's always the funny thing to hear. Here's another one of my favorite Final Fantasy 13 2 songs in here. Minimum killing. I'm like looking for the exit at the moment. There we go. So then now I'm just gonna kill to open the exit. I don't really need anything, so we're just gonna keep going. What is my favorite difficulty element in Deep Dungeons? Favorite difficulty elements? Palace and Heaven on High is there. It's the heavy hitting enemies. It's managing the high damage and trying to survive with it, because it forces you into having to use a lot of your tools. Stagger kiting, stunning, you know, those type of things, pathing. And that's a lot of what I think I liked in original MMOs, that whole pathing. I mean, there was, I think there was some pathing in Final Fantasy XI to some extent too, maybe. Can't quite remember, but there are other games where pathing was a feature of defense that you did to survive. And I like that. It's almost like using everything in the environment to your advantage to be able to get through content. So I like that. Resource management, I would definitely put like rank 2 for sure. Because I think for me, especially when it's in stream per se, Sparks, man, you know, having to survive a double Chimera, having to be, like, you know, showing off about, like, we had a double, like, the one that Aurora Moon always talks about is when I pulled a triple Mimic on Astro in, like, 181, and he's like, I would never do that. And, like, those are the type of moments I like, where it's execution on a really tough pull, because things are going to obliterate you, and you still manage... Are you kidding me? And you still manage to get through. Those are the ones I really like, but I think that's a little bit adjusted because of stream. Because if I were to do that on my own, and no one's watching, so it's like, yeah, I made a cool play, but I mean, no one's there to watch. But with an audience, it looks pretty dang cool. But I think on my own, without the audience, without you guys and everything, yeah, the resource management is always fascinating to me, because that's something I like to talk about a lot with these runs, right? Especially Palace and Heaven on High. How do I strategize with my Pomanders to make the use of it? And we always have, like, I always have, like, almost like long conversations about why I'm doing this, why I'm doing that. And I like that. It's like so much fun to talk about, you know? It's almost like it's a concept that is not necessarily black and white, and you're just kind of going on gut feeling with certain things, right? And you also, like, Heaven on High is one reason I love Heaven on High, is because that, unlike the other Deep Dungeons where you can kind of plan out the entire 10 floor set, Heaven on High 81 plus is like, you need to work and adjust per floor. You can have a plan, but Heaven on High, I always like the joke, you throw that plan out the window the moment you load into the first floor. You don't know what the game's gonna give you. High kill count, treasure room, first chest Petri, you know, first chest frailty, a whole bunch of patrols. Like, you have to adjust, and every floor you need to change the plan, depending on what it is. Like, what if you go through an 81 Heaven on High, and 81, 82, 83, 84, no debuffs? And like the plan is like, okay, let me use something if there's a bad debuff. And I remember having runs like that where I'm like waiting for like a bad debuff. I'm like, it's not coming. Like everything seems manageable. And now I have to decide, when am I using these things? And then you get another run where like 82, 83, 84, like triple debuffs every single time. It's like, okay, there's my answer. And it's like, that to me is so exciting because it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. Or even Palace of the Dead, 181 plus, there is some type of set game plan that I go through. I will use a flight into 82, 83, 84. I'll use an alteration to 86 or 87. I will double dip rage 80, 88 into 89. Like, it's usually the same game plan every single time. I mean, granted, you know, depending on what the game gives you, but usually I follow that route. So yeah, the resource management to me is exciting. But I still love the execution of gameplay in a showcase format. That to me is so much fun. I really like dealing with time management. Time management, would you say time management, Jaeger, would be a part of resource management, or would you say in your definition it's a separate entity to that? Because I kind of would think time management. Oh, that's actually not bad. Oh boy. That's a bad combination right there. I would say time management leads into resource management. So I kind of would put the two into the same category. But I can also see how maybe like you'd view it as something like a separate entity on its own, you know? The last 30 is really intense. Yeah, I agree with Heaven on High. Every now and then I get tired of the endless mechanic checks. Yeah, I mean, look, that was me in EO, honestly. Like, I could do EO pacing it out, but I had done EO, like, I think originally we were doing EO, I think, 4 days a week, or like 3 days a week, because I think I would set up a file. That would be for 2 files, and then we go for clear number 1, clear number 2, and I started to get burned out, because it was just overly redundant. And I think I had mentioned this, I think, yesterday, Sparks, is that one thing that excites me about, I think, any game, not just Deep Dungeon, not just Final Fantasy XIV, it's any game, is that it's multiple depths of gameplay. And I think if a game kind of goes a little one-dimensional, it can get a little stale. And it doesn't matter what it is, even if you're the best of this thing. I think it can get a little stale without a little variety in that kind of format. So an example I gave was like Arknight Enfield. Arknight Enfield does their characters and storyline very well. They do their battles pretty dang good. I'm very much engaged with their battle. And then they do Factory very, very well. And like, it has nothing to do with story, well, per se. Like, the gameplay is Factory's like totally completely different concept, but it's like you give a lot of variety in terms of what you can do in the game. And I think that's a lot of fun, you know? But I feel like something like EO and PT, to me, it feels a little closer to one-dimensional because it's basically hit your buttons, do a rotation, dodge mechanics. You know, like you just said. I mean, like the raids. I mean, hit your buttons, do a rotation, dodge mechanics. And it's like, I can see that being fun to an extent, but it kind of lacks a little depth for me to enjoy other parts of it, right? If I'm just doing damage and avoiding mechanics, that's why I kind of like the CCing. I kind of like, you know, having to manage the stun, having to watch out for this, you do these ads, you know, something like that. It adds a little bit extra to the fight. And that's what I would like to do more. So, with EO and PT are basically very one-dimensional in that execution. Like there is resource management, there is palm management, but it's not as important as it is in Palace and Heaven on High. Where like in PT and EO, you can kind of like shrug your shoulders, like, yeah, you know, I got multiple ways to get out of here. And here it's like, you know, the value of certain parameters are extremely high, and if you don't do it correctly, you can kind of perish, you know. Hey, Gims. So I got raided into a D4 stream before my nap and saw that unique charm exists. They do. Yes. Yep. Do you want me to explain it? Because I actually have picked up quite a lot of unique charms as of recently. I am running one at the moment on my build, which is actually a big difference in my damage. Actually, the way that you can make a unique charm is really interesting. Which benefits you for being like a little bit higher up in terms of tiers and everything. Yeah, so basically their system in the Herodra Cube is that you would take 3 charms, whatever charms you have already, But then you take an ancestral unique, and then you put them together, and you take the unique out of the ancestral, and that becomes the charm. So right now I'm using the... Remember I was contemplating on the giant, the two-handed scythe that had the darkness into chill? That's my charm at the moment. So I have that as my thing into my whole build, which I'm not using the scythe. EO bosses with heaven on high damage and resources peak. Fair. Neat? No, it's great. I like it. Hey, made an egg once, hello. First time catching the stream. Last week I finished PoTD. Congratulations. And heaven on high. Congratulations. Welcome to the club. I followed your strategy for clearing out 191 to 200, and it was super helpful. Oh, wow. I'm glad the strategy was good. Excellent. Congratulations. Thank you for coming in and letting me know that. Are you going to look into the other deep dungeons, or are you just happy with PoTD and Palace? But, yay, we got another Necromancer and Lone Hero in the group. Welcome to the club. I think time management's under the resource management umbrella. Gotcha, Jaeger. Gotcha. No, currently T8 now, and I'm edging into T9, but I'm still trying to hope I can get like a little bit better on damage. But I'm pretty happy with my boss kill time in T8, but I was trying the Torment, but I think I was Torment 68, leading into Torment 70, which was T9, and it was just like a little uncomfortable, so I'm not quite there yet. Actually, what I picked up, there's two things I got, Gims. I got a mythic weapon, which was very, very good and kind of really boosted my damage by a lot. And then I had the unique charm, which also contributed a lot to damage. That's been what's been helping me at the moment. The weapon I got, it gave me a base 35 times all damage multiplier and plus 200 stats, which basically opened up like literally everything in my Paragon tree, because everything needed like 300, 400 skill points, like willpower and dexterity, which is stats I don't have, and it just basically gave it. So all of those things all opened up for all the bonuses. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a lot of power that just the game just gave me. Yep. Yo, what's up, government? It's going pretty well. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, friendo. Just doing this mini tutorial light for Red Mage. Going through the motions, going through Red Mage 1 to 100. We'll get a little bit more serious when we step into the higher floors on Thursday. But it's definitely a good time. A lot of people, I think, are looking into Necromancer as of recently, and I think it's a really good time to kind of get back into it a little bit. So people wanted to find information, wanted to ask questions about what it looks like to get Necromancer in 2026 in May. We're here. I'm here. I'll answer questions. I set out to do all 4 of them. I'm gonna do all 4, but I need to get some 8 people for EO, which is at 0, and I haven't set the foot in there. And PT I have around 50-50. Okay, at least PT is a lot more manageable. I hope you can maybe try to get some friends for EO, but if you can't, you know, it's gonna be a bit of a journey. It's gonna take a little bit for EO, but that's the only thing I dislike about EO a lot. I mean, EO is not my favorite deep dungeon. But one of the things I don't like mechanically, it's just the fact that the Aether Pool is pretty painful, because like Palace of the Dead, you can start from 0. You like literally unlock it and you go in and you'll be perfectly fine. Heaven on High, you can start low too, because you'll get enough on the climb. EO, you can't. You cannot start low. Because you just don't get it back on the higher floors, and that kind of feels bad. PT, I feel like it's a really good balance, so you don't have to go too far out of your way for farming, but EO, you really have to kind of go like almost old school farming to make sure you eat the pulls in there. And to be honest, I hope they fix that. Like just put the PT solution in the older deep dungeons. That would really set up Heaven on High and EO very well, but listen. This will be the last floor I do, guys. A little early on the stream. Usually I like to go 5 hours, but I don't want to continue the floor sets because I want to save it for Thursday, so it'll be a little bit shorter, but maybe Thursday we do a little bit more other stuff. Maybe I could set up an Arcanist, but today we'll end a little earlier today. If the Rejuve drop changes for Fall Dungeon, I don't think the Eve would be too bad. I think PT was a very good solution. I think Palace of the Dead was too aggressive. How Palace is set up, you just got it way too fast, and it kind of like minimizes why you even had to keep it full to begin with. It's like just remove it at this point. With that being said, it was a good solution because it helped people get through the content, especially when they had to do it to unlock the other deep dungeons. So like that was okay, but yeah, they could have done better. It was just yeeted across, yeah. Here, we're just gonna give you a solution, deal with it, you know. Could have done something better. Palace should be balanced, so if you start from 199 should be around 180. It used to be that way. I think starting from 0, you would just get about 99 originally by about 180, 190. But actually kind of... Well, I mean, it wasn't balanced like that. Like, that wasn't the intention, but mathematically, that's usually how it kind of happened with the amount of E-deploy you gain. I have to watch out for my defense here, because the 4 of them are going to come out, so we're going to get hit pretty hard here. This is where the damage kind of gets weird, especially if you're trying to do a 1 resolution strat, because you're going to take a lot of damage. But Red Mage luckily can take the heals, and you can kind of heal yourself here with that volley. It's not half as bad. Where Surecast might be a decent idea. Good to know. I appreciate the info. I will see if someone will suffer. Yeah. And also, I have a video. I don't know if you've seen it yet or anything. Made an egg once, but I did a video last expansion where I actually nuked my arm and armor, and I took in all 21 jobs at the time. Well, I guess I did it this expansion, didn't I? We took all 21 jobs in EO and tried to find out which one would clear 1 to 10 with 0 arm and armor solo. Not everything cleared floor 10, 1 to 10 solo. And so that might be a decent reference if like you have a specific job that you want to go for it. I mean, if you're like warrior or something, you're gonna be good. But if it ends up that you have to solo for the EO experience, it definitely is possible. It'll just take a little bit, but it's possible. But with just having regions available, low HP wouldn't be as rough to start out. You could still go to Palace, but if you have neither, it's been too... Yeah. Alright, it's 100 in the books. Again, so... one thing to point out here, this is actually really good to showcase to you guys right now. If you've been here since the beginning, great. If you haven't been here since the beginning, we actually went through 21, and I died once, and I reset the file purposely. I left the actual duty twice. So, under normal circumstances, if this was before 7.5, me doing the 1 death would mean I cannot re-enter this file. So, we actually basically failed the file 3 times, but as you'll see here, I can step right into 101 because the KOs do not record anymore 1 to 100. That is no longer a thing. So you can die as many times as you want, 1 to 100, and you can step back in. But of course, if I literally die in 101, that file is gone. And if you want a Necromancer, you have to start from 1 because the achievement requires you to start from 1. But at least you can die 1 to 100. They've kind of removed that. That's why you don't even see KOs. So basically what will happen, first and foremost, you don't see the KO count anymore, right? If this file were deged and you can't go back in, it will highlight it red, like an actual red color in the UI, indicating you cannot go back in the file. So if it's blue, you can go in. If it's green, you cleared. So it's one thing to, that is a new thing that we're gonna definitely, I'm gonna repeat that because during our streams as we do Deep Dungeon over the weeks and everything, because that's clearly something that's brand new, and maybe some people really don't understand it or don't know it. So, but that's a new thing from 7.5. That is from last week's patch. They kind of made that process a little bit easier, a little bit more straightforward. But the challenge is still there. You still have to not die 101 plus, so keep that in mind.